Hello! Good evening! I was so close to being here in the first minute. It's okay! It's okay, you're here. You made it. Hello, hello. Ever since the one time I forgot to unmute my microphone when I started, I fear that I will literally always forget to unmute it. Good evening. Oh boy. Are you ready? Are you ready to see what our fairy boy has in store for us? Yeah. Like, I can't see all my audio inputs like in one place, so I need to scroll up and down to see if both my mic and the background music is on. Wolf of Burning Love. Yes. What did we do the last time? We hung out with him at the park, and a bunch of dogs came around. But I think that was the only difference between, well, this main route and the main route the last time. So we shall see We did not get a puppy, CG, which is honestly disappointing. You can't just say, oh, we get overrun by a bunch of puppies, and then not show us the puppies. I want to see some puppies. And I think it starts off immediately with a more background information the way it does always. In the sea, I see for the first time. I don't know anyone, a big icy and narrow road. I found it, it excites me, so I wanted to explore. I came without telling mom, dad, or my friends. Oh, I paddled far and noticed something peculiar. A wall of ice, lots of strange shapes, so beautiful, yet mysterious. It lures me in. Mysterious shadow. I see someone. I paddle underwater to avoid detection. I don't like this. The voice scares me. The scary voice keeps repeating itself. On and on and on, so I memorized it. It said. That sounds like a child's voice. Oh, okay, yeah. Interesting! Well, I guess his route will include more of Kororo, so maybe this was about Kororo and not Ignis himself? I shut up in my bed, opening my phone screen to check the time. Huh? It's 6 AM. Did I fall asleep too early last night? It was earlier than I intended to wake. Even so, it was best not to waste time snoozing. Since I'm wide awake, I might as well prep for breakfast. Okay, 6 AM, that's acceptable. In Color Melis, I need to tell this to everyone when I get the chance. In Color Melis, in one route, she wakes up at 4 AM. 4 AM, middle of the night, 4 AM, she's a policewoman. She wakes up and goes, oh well, I'm awake, might as well prep for breakfast and get started on the day. To this day, I am still in awe of whoever wrote this line and went, yeah, okay, I wake up in the middle of the night at 4 AM, I'm just gonna stay up. Just gonna stay up, get started on the day, prep my breakfast. At 4 AM? When I wake up at 4 AM, I go, oh, fuck this, and go back to sleep. At 6 AM, that's okay. 4 AM is practically still the bed. Thank you. 4 AM, that's not a time when you start the day, that's a time when you end the day. Like if you stay up for a long time, but not... I change into when I wake up at 4 AM, the trick is to sleep the whole night. Yeah, I try. I mean, I'm very good at sleeping. I'm very good at sleeping. I could sleep all day, which is not healthy. But I could. I change into a fresh set of clothes and make my way down to the empty cafe. I hear a cute yet desperate voice squeak faintly. Not good enough, it seems. It must be. Yeah! Oh, I knew it. It's Kororo. Huh? Didn't Kororo leave yesterday to return to Bestia? So then, why is Kororo here? Okay. Kororo flopped over on the ground, slapping the floor of the cafe with its tiny paws. I trace its gaze. Right next to the portal stood the guardian who took Kororo swimming. Ignis, found here lying face down on the floor. Wait, what? The situation puzzled me at first glance, but I rushed over to him out of reflex. Ignis, what happened? Don't tell me you were attacked or worse, injured in Bestia. As I shook Ignis' shoulders with panicked hands, I noticed his ears twitch. Huh? The time was so comedic I almost flipped over. Oh my god. 1 hour later, 7 AM. Okay. He nearly gulped the food I set out for him in one breath and chucked a glass of soda. He took a deep breath. Goodness, you scared me. I thought I was dying. I wish it took more than a little hunger to push the so-called strongest beast to the brink of death. Oh! Well, maybe it's more than a little hunger. I mean, I hope you didn't take this the wrong way, but how in the world can you stomach so much food this early in the morning? Kododo beat him up. I glanced at the table counter, staring in awe at plate after plate after... Hold on. At plate after plate after plate after plate. A literal mountain of plates. I took pause, thinking to myself, each plate had a fairly hefty portion on it, all of which now sat inside Ignis' stomach. He topped off the meal with an order for dessert, which he normally didn't eat. I suppose he was positively famished. Wow. Won't all of this give you heartburn? What? I'm all out of ingredients already. Your appetite is something else today. Oh? I was struck by the image of Ignis pummeling a mountain of beasts with his fists. Sucks to be you, per usual, but I'm glad you're not hurt. Looks like Kododo is happy swimming in familiar waters too.
It's so cute!
Kododo took great pleasure swimming in its hometown. Its eyes and body glimmered as he splashed in the water. Now that you're here, why don't you stay here and rest? I mean, I hope so. I'm running a cafe. I chuckled in agreement. There wasn't a lot of menu items that you see in restaurants, just stuff that I like to cook at home. Oh! I just realized something. I think this is the first time that you've told me you liked my food to my face. Ignis lit up uncharacteristically as if I was teasing a secret.
I can't wait to see him blush.
Yep. You said to me no complaints or something like that before. Just when I thought Ignis' gaze had darted out of shyness from my affirmation, he began to piece together an incoherent babble of words. Keep them coming. Oh! I'm sure it wants to. Well, I guess Ignis tried his best, whatever that was, to praise my cooking. That much I understood. Someone else translated this route. Because before they used he for Kododo, not it. You don't have to force it. Clearing the plate is the biggest compliment that I could ask for. But it is flattering to hear you say it yourself. Thanks, Ignis. Kododo's envy. Yes! Nice, 2 characters with envy rep. And I don't even know it. That's because I'm not from Bistia. What does he mean by that? Just as I thought to ask him. The door of the portal opened, signaled by a lively chiming bell.
Oh, hiya! と言ってもちょい早だけど。
Hello.
営業時間より少し早いはずだが。
You expect the shop to be closed, but you still come through the door? Welcome, you two. You're right. Did you think we had an early bird special? As soon as the regulars from another world appeared through the portal.
おはようございます。
The sleepy-looking eel... Oh. That's 2 ambulances outside. Okay. The sleepy-looking eel descended down to the center of the cafe, flapping his wings. One after another, my non-human guests gathered at the cafe. The familiar setting had a charming and wistful air about it. I welcomed everyone with a smile.
注文構わないかな。簡単な軽食とかでいいんだけど。
Sure, how may I take your... Oops. I'm sorry. We've been cleared of just about everything except for coffee. Ignis let out an awkward peep, realizing the consequences of his actions. And that's the third one. What's going on? Oh, that's a fire truck. Well, you know, not outside my own window, but from here I can see the main street across the train tracks. So something's happening somewhere here, around here. Misha and Candace stood in acknowledgement of this together and looked over at Ignis.
もしやそこのテーブルに重なっている大量の皿や菓子の包装紙などは
へへ。
あー、なるほど。うちの狼くんが食べ尽くしちゃったわけね。
Sure did. Someone had quite the appetite. I had only stocked food enough for a regular day's work to begin with, so the realization dawned upon Il, who blinked in panic as he overheard my words.
デザートもすべてですか？
Yes. Oh no, baby! It seemed Ignis pitied Il, despite his usual proclivity for making the latter the butt of a joke.
買い出し行ってくるわ。もう8時も近いし、この時間でも空いてる店はあんだろ。
It's funny to me though, because Japan has way more stores that are open like... The funniest thing is, they either have shops that... Oh my god, how many more are there? They either have shops that are open for like 24 hours, or shops that open at 10 a.m. at the earliest. Like there's barely any in between. And that's so weird to me, as someone where shops open at 8 on the dot and close at 8 on the dot. And also we don't have shops that are open on Sundays, and in Japan it's like no, every day of the week you can just go somewhere's going to be open. No matter the time, no matter the day. It's so... Well, in the city obviously. Somewhere in rural Japan it's obviously not going to be the same. Oh, I'll join you. You wouldn't know what to buy if you went alone, would you?
悪いけど頼む。
I got ready, then departed from Enchanté with Ignis.
はい、毎度。今日は随分と買い込むじゃねえか、ジョーちゃん。
I wish. Well, it's more of a restock actually.
はっは。さては久しぶりにイグニスの悪い癖が出ちまったな。
I guess they know Ignis as well.
せえハゲ親父、売り上げに貢献してやってんだから余計なこと言うんじゃねえぞ。
Yeah. It also depends on where in Germany you are. Like obviously down here, it's like the worst, I'd say. Because sometimes I talk to friends and they're like, oh, hold on, I'm gonna buy something real quick. I'm like, it's 9. It's 9 p.m. What do you mean you buy something real quick? Why? I only have like 50 minutes to the next supermarket. It's 9 p.m. Yes. They're open until 10. What do you mean? But I feel bad for the people who work there. It's like, please, go home, get some rest.
まだハゲてねえぞ。生え際がちょこっと交代。いや、素朴になってきただけだ。
それをハゲと言わずになんて言ってんだ。
What's with the face? To an outsider, it might look as though Ignis is picking a fight with this humble shopkeeper. But apparently this was a normal exchange between Ignis and the owner. You know, a town where it's open until midnight! The only thing I'd visit at midnight here in Germany is like a gas station. What? It's so weird to me. Light-hearted the banter between friends. I handed the plastic bag filled with vegetables to Ignis. As the shopkeeper said come again, I bowed to him and made our way to the next shop.
初の店からこの量がさすがに食いすぎだぜ。
You're right, we don't have to restock everything today, just enough to get us through the day. After agreeing on our plan of action, we continued walking through the market, but judging by what that produce vendor said, this wasn't your first time eating so much in one sitting, huh?
ああ、ジジイの時にもたまにあったな。普段はなんとなくなんか食いてえって思う程度なんだけどよ。派手な喧嘩をした後はいつも以上にかなり腹が減るんだよな。
Yeah, you probably burn a lot of calories. Maybe you're exerting yourself too much.
ベスティアには飯なんて概念はねえし、昔は気にならなかったんだけどな。
Oh.
アンシャンテで飯のうまさを知ってからは腹が減るのが当たり前みたいになっちまった。
Oh. That's not the worst problem, is it? I mean, I'm glad he's eating. We continued our conversation as we made our rounds to the shops that were open. The time was nearing 10 o'clock.
あれ、そこにいるのって。兄貴、それに店主さんも奇遇っすね。
Can you stop screaming for once? Oh, draw me. I couldn't hide my shock as I saw him jog over because.
おい、その器具をどうやって作り上げたんだてめえは。今日アンシャンテのゲート通ってねえだろ。
Right? Yeah? If he arrived to the cafe and proceeded to follow us after we had left, there would not be much of a coincidence.
いや、なんか前に店に行った時 GPM の帝とかいう変な人間に会ったんすけど、その時にすっかり意気投合して、あっちで固定してるホールを自由に使わせてもらうようになったんす。これで兄貴に締め出されてもいつでもアンシャンテに来放題っすよ。
Tommy wore a triumphant smile as he struck a gallant pose.
変人、余計なことしやがって。
Sounds like you're getting comfortable here. You're even making some friends. Is he? Is he making friends? Sorry, Dromy. I hadn't wanted you to feel obligated to come shop with
大丈
us.
夫っすよ。ちょうど兄貴に会いにアンシャンテに向かうとこだったんで。
What is going on? I see blue lights out of the corner of my eyes all the time. That's gonna be something big. Dromy's a good person at heart. Although from time to time he had a delinquent streak in him, he offered to carry our groceries for us.
次はどこの店に向かう予定だったんですか?
Oh, one sec, I have a list somewhere. I pulled a shopping list out from my pocket, which I had scribbled hurriedly before we left the cafe. Let's see, we got the veggies, we have the fish, make an eggs, check. All of a sudden, Ignis peeked over my shoulder to take a look at the note.
どうすんだ? 自分で食っといてなんだけどよ。結構量がかさばると思うぜ。
That's true. I think there's a great butcher this way who sells the best cuts of meat. Plus, if we buy in bulk, they'll give us a discount. Their selection is
な
wonderful.
るほどな。なあ、あとあれだ。イルの野郎にアイスも買ってやらねえと。
Right, in that case, we may as well grab some for everyone else also.
何かしらあれば、あいつらも遠慮なくつまむだろう。
Oh man, I haven't had ice cream in so long. Dromy, who was following close behind us, timidly interjected.
ちょっといいっすか? 前から気になってたんすけど、店主さんって兄貴のつがいなんすか? は?
As soon as Dromy popped his question, Ignis dropped all of the grocery bags he was carrying, spilling our food onto the ground. Ah, the discounted eggs! As I cried in a worry, Ignis' cheeks began to blush. He started pressing on Dromy, typical. Aha! There we go! 20 minutes into his ruin, he's blushing. Nice!
てめえドローミ、こんなオーライでいきなり何を?
いやだって距離がすげえ近いし、兄貴がメスとそんな仲良くしてるとこ他に見たことないっす。
It's like his pupils are even smaller. They're all...
寝ぼけたこと抜かしてんじゃねえ。すがいとかなわけねえだろ。
Yes! This game is very good at giving me what I want.
こいつとはあくまでそのなんだ。
You're regular at the cafe.
そう、ただの店主と客って関係だ。それ以上でもそれ以下でもね。
You're doing very good. A very good job. You're doing a very good job. Ah, those eggs are cracked. I lamented quietly to myself while continuing to listen to the conversation. Maid. Lady.
ああ、なんだ。そうっすよね。俺もまさかとは思ったんすよ。よりにもよって最強の兄貴が弱っちい人間のメスを選ぶとか。天地がひっくり返ってもないっすよ。
You shouldn't say that.
わかりゃいいよ。その言い方よせって。
でも最強の兄貴にふさわしいメスって魔獣の中でも
A beast among beasts, and he's wearing fucking, I don't know what kind of, like, what are these pants?
あ、でも前に腕っぷしのいいメスがいるって褒めてますよ。
Hello.
そのメスとはどうなったんすか？結構なアプローチ受けてたはずっすよね。
Dromi, shut up.
今すぐその無駄に滑る口を閉じろや。
なんかデジャブ。そして兄貴、そこは口じゃなくてこめかみっす。
May, choose female? Oh, as I repeated the words to myself, watching Ignis' desperate reaction, it clicked. It became clear what Dromi meant. It must be how they refer to a girlfriend in the show. Pair. In Bestiaire basically refers to husband and wife or lovers. This is often used in the human world in the same way for animal mates as well. Even amongst beasts there had to be women. I recall meeting one in Bestiaire before. I suppose it would be too surprising if Ignis had a romantic story or two. Oh, would it? It occurred to me perhaps that it would be awkward if the barista of his favorite cafe were to hear them. Hence his panicked animated denial. Yep. At this point I have to give Ignis some peace of mind. Hey Ignis.
なんだ?
Yes! Ignis let go of Dromi's face and quickly spun around to face me. Then I made a deliberate decision. I responded to the lengthy debate with a wholesome smile. This maid thing you're talking about. When you get yourself a girlfriend, don't hesitate to bring her to Enchanté, okay? I'll gladly welcome her. Oh! Fatal. That's a fatal attack. You missed Ignis going absolutely bonkers. Because... No. Wait, hold on. Because Dromi was like, oh... Is she your mate? And we're just sitting there like, hey, if you ever get a girlfriend, bring her to Enchanté. I'll welcome her. And he's just gone bonkers in it. It's the same road. Yeah, they only have that one road for like the city. When we go to the city, there's like 3 CGs. One for when you for the shops road, then one where the train track is, and then there's one. But it's not necessarily the actual road to the aquarium. One road city. Almost like my hometown, just one road. You drive 200 meters, bam! You're out of the city. Well, it's not a city. It's a town. Not even a town. It's like 3 houses. Fire Emblem. Okay. I kicked the door open with a furrow echoing the shock ringing in my head. Oh, it's...
ああ、びっくりした。もうそのドア微妙にボロいんだから乱暴に扱うのやめてよね。
荷物持ちの手は足りたか。我も同行すべきだったか。
いらねえよ。それよりこれ持っとけ。
Ah, what is it with my eyes today? I aggressively handed the entire grocery haul to Keynes as he approached. The muscle brain, while initially flustered, accepted the groceries out of reflex.
心配しねえでも後から来る。ガネス、荷物はてめえが全部厨房に運んどけ。俺は部屋でこのアホトラにいろいろ話をつけなきゃなんねえからな。
After leaving the foot with Keynes, I grabbed Dromi by the scruff of his neck, holding him high up in the air.
おや、ドローミスではないですか。また斬新な移動方法をとっていますね。
Yeah, it's definitely someone else who translated this one, and no one bothered to check like the script. Because the other time around they wrote Dromies in a different way because Eel thinks his name is Dromies and not Dromy for some reason. Chimkin Man! Yes, Chimkin Man.
とっても慈愛に満ち溢れた天使さん。できればその慈悲で俺の命を救ってもらえるとありがたいかなって。
I pray for you, Dromy. But you got that one onto yourself.
ああ、いる。アイスあったよ。溶けちゃう前に食べた方がいいんじゃない？
すみません、ドローミス。アイスが私を待っていますので、あなたに安らかな眠りがあらんことを。
Rip.
俺の命よりアイス。
Dun
じゃあ
dun.
行くぞ、アホトラ。男同士、久しぶりにゆっくりと
The good old days.
語り合うとしよう。
You're 25. The good old days. I took my sweet time heading upstairs, scaring him with slow, ominous steps.
できればお断りしたいっす。兄貴のお話し合いってだいたい握られた拳による物理的な。
10 minutes later.
お前マジで何しに来やがった？俺をキレさせに来たのか？
The stupid tiger bowed his pummeled head, which had swelled from the beating as if he was stung by a horde of bees. Oh no! But not even a beating could cheer me up. Because of him, Koton is now aware of a lot of things that she shouldn't have been. Well, it's not like this changes anything, since she knows and all, but what if things do change? Oh.
くそ、イライラする。
What's with her? She casually brushed off his comment about that other female too. As if that's not bad enough, she told me to invite my maid over to the cafe with a
あ、
smile.
もっとこうなんか他に言うことあんだろうが。
While I went on my irritated run, the stupid tiger's face started to heal.
今回はさすがにマジで死を覚悟したっす。
The regularly scheduled ass whoopings I've been giving him since we were kids have toughened him up.
で、兄貴、まだ顔が怖いんですけど、本題に戻っていいっすかね。
Mm-hmm.
ちょっとアルムムについて気になる情報があって、
Oh.
兄貴に報告しに来たんすけど。
あ、あの牛どもがどうかしたのかよ。
どうかしたのかって、あいつらについて探ってこいっつったの兄貴っすよね。
ああ、そういやそうだったな。
I completely forgot about them after the fiasco in Amazaki Island.
なんか奴らに動きがあったのか。今更すぎる気もするけどよ。
It's like a waste of time.
いや、それが逆なんすよね。
は？
Hmm? Domi turns his head, reporting his findings in a contemplative tone.
あいつら、なぜかあちこちの縄張りから数をどんどん減らしてるんすよ。他の魔獣に戦いをけしかけてるわけでもないのに、どこ行っちゃったんすかね。
Oh, someone picking a fight with
俺
the
らにとっちゃ
Minotaurs?
平
And
穏でいい
winning?
話っすけど、なんか嫌な予感がするっていうか。
あの血に飢えた牛どもが姿を消した。
Doesn't make sense. Plus, as much as I hate to admit it, this kid has a knack for making wild, cowardly hunches that are usually right. So if he's got a better feeling about it,
ろくでもねえことが
あは
できなきゃいいがな。
why do I even bother telling my parents that I'm doing something if they're going to come in anyway? And that's what happened.
そのような話があったのか。
A day had passed since Ignis drew me by his neck and left me behind. I was attending a tea party at Meteor's, which was more for girls' day. Titania nodded kindly as she picked the tray of cookies I brought over. Aha! So we don't completely ignore the other characters? But I guess in this one Titania is going to be stuck to Yggdrasil forever. Because we're not dating. Oh man.
それは
Hurts my soul already.
いわゆる恋バナというやつじゃな。まさか同じ女子とこのような話ができるとは長生きはしてみるものじゃな。
But Titania seemed to enjoy herself. Venia sat beside her, sighing in resignation. I wonder if they are reluctant to let Titania overhear gossip of the snitch. Are you kidding me? However, it seems her investment in our chat led them to refrain from interrupting.
当人はその件に関してどう語っておるのじゃ？
I'm sorry, this route is inherently better. Guess they managed to keep with the day damn Frona. Well, if I recall, by the time I made it back to the cafe, I talked to Mishi and the others about it. At the time, Rindu was already there.
そんな話があったんだ。
Yes, it's a little unusual, isn't it? I wasn't aware Ignis was a ladies' man.
お、なになに？イグニスの話が気になる感じ？
I think some other lady coming onto Ignis strongly was probably someone who was picking a fight with him. But like... not really, but I returned a bitter smile at Misha. It's just that it felt refreshing to discuss everyone's romantic lives.
ああ、でもそうだね。そういった話は今までなかったかも。
ミシェルの魔族については知らぬが、イルや我、天使も妖精も恋愛が必須な種族ではない。我らに比べれば、ベスティアは比較的人間に近い恋愛観があるかと思うぞ。
Interesting.
うちでも似たような見解があったな。繁殖行動とか、ベスティアは人間界の動物と似てる部分が
Inhuman behavior. Not inhuman. God. Oh,
イ
interesting.
グニスも若いし、そういった話があっても何ら不思議じゃないよね。
実力主義のベスティアでは男女問わず強さが魅力だったかと。
Ah, I think I know what you
生き
mean.
残るっていうのがベスティアでの最大の目的だろうし、強さは大事な判断基準なんだろうね。
だとすると、
Misha stirred the contents of his coffee mug with a dexterous hand, flashing an elegant but devilish smile.
特殊な立場とはいえ、最強の座に立つイグニスはああ見えて結構モテる。
Why do you have your
では、つ
troll
がい
face
とやら
on?
を見つけた暁には、彼は常連の中で初の恋人持ちとなるわけですね。その時にはぜひ愛の軌跡を聞かせていただきたいものです。
Boy, do I have news for you. Ha. He responded with dreamy eyes, indulging himself with several bites of ice cream.
てめえら
Oh, he's also there.
俺がいねえのはいいことに何を勝手な妄想を膨らませてやがる。
Oh, I thought we were just having this conversation without him. Oh wait, never mind, we were. Ignis came sprinting downstairs full speed, slamming his fist angrily onto the table.
階段を上がったり降りたりと、お前も世話しないな。
He's good ears if you can hear us all the way upstairs.
さっきも悲鳴が聞こえたし、終わったといえば終わったんじゃない？
話をそらすんじゃねえ。あと、あのアホトラならあっさり回復して、今はのんきに漫画読んでやがるっての。
Ignis sparked at everyone, eliciting laughter from the room. Then for some reason he turns to face me. I braced myself, meeting his sharp gaze before he delivered a desperate
いい
plea.
かことね。今日聞いたことは全部忘れろ。俺は色恋沙汰になんざ興味ねえ。適当に喧嘩ができりゃそれでいい。
you need to.
だからこいつらや、ドローミの話を鵜呑みにすんじゃねえぞ。わかったな。
Sure. If you say so, Ignis. Besides, prying into other people's relationships is a bit rude, right?
だからなんでってんだよ。そういうあっけらかんとした反応しか。
Huh? That's it. As I conclude my story, Titania paused momentarily before breaking into a chuckle.
若い若いの反応の一つ一つが愉快でたまらん。炎を司るということもあり、少々あの魔獣イグニスには苦手意識を感じておったが、
She nods once.
いや、やはり偏見は良くないの。今度こちらに訪れることがあれば、根掘り葉掘り話を聞き出し、いや、交流してみるとしよう。
彼を怒らせるとメディオ全体が燃えかねないので自重してくれませんか、陛下。
I could see him in my mind clear as day, raging in his cloak of flames. A few days after the tea party on the day I normally head off from work.
だからわざわざ同行しなくていいのに。
Baby! Yes, I did. If I had let you go off by yourself, you did your periodic checkup. I persuaded Kadia to let me take him to his periodic checkup at the GPM. After answering a series of questions from Mikado, Kadia passed his checkup. We conversed on a train ride back home. Thankfully, it seems as though no major issues were found in Kadia's body. Tremendous news. Kadia, what are your plans after this? Do you want to stop by Enchanté for a bit?
そうしようかな。特に予定もないし。
I mean, does he go to school? Does he?
あれ？お前カリアじゃん。
Kadia, immersed in thought, perked up as a boy similar in age to him ran over. Kadia, do you know
ク
him?
ラスメート。
Oh, I guess he does go to school.
どうも。てかカリアってお姉さんいたの？
違う。なんていうか、普段世話になってる人っていうか。
いいな。こんな優しそうなお姉さんと知り合いなんて。
お前普通にお姉さんいるじゃん。
うちの姉ちゃんはさ、姉という名の横暴モンスターだから。
いきなり死んだ目になるなよ。この人が戸惑ってんじゃん。
It's okay, I'm having fun here. Introvert had always wanted a sibling, but maybe it's not all fun and
あ、
games.
そうだ。カリア、今日暇？うち遊び来いよ。新しいゲーム買ったんだ。他のやつも呼んで対戦しようぜ。
俺も行っていいの？
いいから誘ってんじゃん。
Get some friends, Kadia. Kadia's eyes met mine as if he were asking for my permission. Go ahead, you're welcome at the cafe anytime. Just be mindful of your condition.
ありがとう。じゃあ行ってくる。
Have fun. He thanked me, his cheeks rosy from blush, and followed after his classmate. Ever since he started coming to Enchanté, it seems like his condition has gotten stable and is getting easier to attend school. From the looks of things, it seemed like he was beginning to get along with his classmates again. How touching. It was such a relief to see him improve both physically and mentally. Nice. Very good. I took the path back to Enchanté, humming a spontaneous melody to an original tune. It was the perfect day for a walk. I was never much of an athlete, but this weather incited an urge within me to move my body. As a thought crossed my mind, I heard a familiar, lively cheer towards a park I enjoyed passing through. I wonder what's going on. Normally the park was serene, quiet, a place to collect one's thoughts, but these were upbeat, rousing voices. At least it didn't sound like trouble. Would it be worth checking out? I entered the park, walking in the direction of the cheery voices. Oh! Oh! I saw him soar through the air. Oh! With the skateboard under his feet, he sticks a perfect landing. Newly constructed walls molded in the shape of waves were placed around the park. There! Ignis zipped along the side of the ramp, using his momentum to speed up. He shifted his weight, lowering himself as he leapt higher, the board flipping below him. That was so cool! I couldn't help from cheering like a child, applauding him alongside the other watchers. Then, I noticed Ignis stop riding, perhaps because he recognized my voice in a crowd and exited the ramp area. From there he sauntered over toward me, holding his board with one hand.
やっぱ子供か。お前こんなとこで何してんだ？
Just passing by. So, what kind of event is this? I posed my question, pointing at the towering wall, which I inferred was a skate park.
ああ、これな。なんでもどっかのスポーツブランドがボードの広告用に主催してるらしいぜ。つっても期間限定で、あさってには取り壊すらしいけどな。
I'm so sad. I'm so, like, with COVID and everything happening, like, I'm not much of a person to go out, but like even I miss it. Like imagine you go to a park and there's just like some random skateboarding competition. Hello? I love to see that. Huh, I never knew courses like this were so easy to set up. So Ignis, are you a skater?
ちげえ。つうか、スケボー自体今日が初めてだな。このボードも他の人間から借りた。
Ah yeah.
技だって見よう見まねで適当に決めたもんだしよ。
That's how it works, yeah. Seriously? Is this your first time you're already this good? Imagine going outside for no reason. That's another blue. What is going on out there? I was privy to how athletic he was, how easily every sport came to him, but even so it was impressive, Ignis. I guess there's no sport you can't play.
まあな。一番好きなのはやっぱ喧嘩することだけどよ。ベスティアには弱えやつしかいねえし、戦い以外の理由で体を動かせる人間界は嫌いじゃねえ。時間と財布に余裕があれば大体のことには手を出してるぜ。
Oh, you mean like ping pong? What? Ping pong? Can you play ping pong too?
まあできなくはねえな。
I love ping
一回
pong.
ジジイに連れられてよ。
Oh, you play matches with Grandpa?
いや、カヌスが相手だった。なかなかいい試合だったぜ。部屋中を飛び跳ね、滑り、力の限り打ち合いまくる。ま、最終的にはカヌスが卓球台を壊しかけたとこを打ち返して、俺が勝ったけどな。
Seems like the match got out of hand, no? But judging from what I know about Grandpa's personality, he was no doubt cheering them on, holding a can of juice in one hand as he hooted and hollered in the crowd. Towards the end of Ignis' anecdote, a new challenger sipped through the course, summoning a chorus of applause. Since the competition was a limited event, I felt foolish to return to the cafe so soon. In fact... Hey Ignis. Earlier I noticed you skating in the corner over there. I was wondering if maybe you would be willing to show me more tricks? After all, the only time I got to spend with him was when we were both at Enchanté or the occasional grocery trip. I seldom got to see him in his element. His tricks were amazing to behold, so I selfishly wanted to see him perform them. When I proposed that Ignis do so, however, I was met with a hearty laugh.
ああ、いいぜ。俺もまだまだ滑るつもりだったからな。
Nice.
さっきよりド派手な技を決めてやるよ。
Gnarly! Gnarly is such a funny word, I like it. Okay. Show me, show me. For the rest of the day, I indulged in watching Ignis skate. He performed his original tricks, one after the next, leaving the spectators in awe until the competition concluded. Gnarly. I wonder where the word came from, though. Like, it's barely used anymore. I feel. Because of how focused I was on him, just as he asked, I nearly missed the sunset. Ah, that was fun. Watching people skate up close is exhilarating. When I walked back to Enchanté with Ignis as my escort, my adrenaline peaked. Adrenaline.
俺からしたらお前のはしゃぎ用のがすごかったけどな。
へ
技決めるたびにぴょんぴょん跳ね上がって思わず吹き出すところだったっつ。
I think I was taken by the spectacle of it all. At one point you landed a string of tricks without breaking a sweat.
気持ちはわかるぜ。俺だって格闘技とか見てると声上げちまうことあるしな。
Watching people skate when they skate really well is nice though. Ignis outstretched his arms like a hawk, full of confidence after a successful ride.
体を動かしてだいぶ頭もすっきりしたな。これで余計なことを考えずに済むぜ。
Useless junk. Did something happen?
ああ、別になんもねえんだが。なんもねえのが気になるっつうか。まあ隠すことでもねえし、一応お前にも話しとくか。
As the two of us had made our way back, Ignis recounted a story about the Minotaurs that he received from Dromi. Wait, so the Minotaurs are gone? From what little I've seen of them, they came off rather aggressive, but how could such a fearsome clan vanish without a trace? It does seem a bit unsettling, doesn't it?
まあな。ただあいつらも調子に乗って他の魔獣とも散々やり合ってっからな。うっかりヘマして殺されちまったのかも。
Ignis' expression immediately dropped. Wasn't trying to worry with the stuff. If I were to guess, that's how he would have finished his thought. No, don't worry, it's natural to be concerned about the welfare of your home. But still, a hint of regret lingered behind Ignis' crestfallen eyes. He attempted to play it off, hastily changing the subject.
それよりあれだ。今日の夕飯って何にすんだ?
You're already thinking about food? Isn't it a little early? Hey, he just spent a bunch of energy skating. ことね。
それはまあ、そうなんだけど。最近、前にも増して腹が変だよな。
He's a growing boy. Really, but he's a growing boy.
ベスティアに戻るたびに襲ってくる魔獣もどんどん増えてやがるしよ。
What? You mentioned that pretty casually. Are you okay?
雑魚が束になったところで俺が負けるわけねえだろ。
Going
用もかけねえで返り討ちで。
ポッピーボーイ。
ただ、毎回襲ってくるタイミングがあまりに良すぎんだよ。
Oh.
まさかまたあっちで俺の動向がつかまれて。
Ignis poked his nose upwards. He came to an abrupt halt, twitching as he sniffed the air. What's wrong?
この匂いは。ことね。ちょいお前はここで待って。いや、やっぱ離れんな。俺についてこい。こっちだ。
Oh? What? I darted after Ignis, who veered off course in quick fashion without saying a word. Oh, what's going on? Ignis spotted an alley that was tucked away from the main street, and I followed close behind. I tilted my head slightly, observing him as he tracked the scent. Uh-oh. Then a large shadow began to loom over me. Huh? What? What? Why was there a bestial minotaur here? I yelled, terrified by the beast. The shadow, a bipedal minotaur, revealed its massive claws and prepared to strike. Before I had a chance to react. Ooh. Ignis, light on his feet, circles the beast swiftly, then smashes its claws with a fist. His pants are funny. But the Minotaur was unfazed. The beast raised its hulking arms, roaring as it broke into a menacing stride. But... yeah! Ignis yet again managed to parry the incoming attack with ease. He countered with a strike to the Minotaur's gut, knocking the wind out of the beast. The immense impact caused the Minotaur to collapse in place before letting out a shrill cry. Thankfully, Ignis had the wherewithal... The what? To use only a portion of strength, keeping the nearby buildings from collapsing as well. One hit KO? Ignis' efficient display of combat prowess saved us, giving me no time to panic. I half expected Ignis to crack a smile shortly after, but... Huh? I heard a resounding crunch. Ignis stomped on the unconscious Minotaur as if to add insult to injury, or perhaps the other way around. He delivered the finishing blow with a bellicose smile, reminding me of his killer instinct. Wait a minute, Ignis, don't you think that's a bit extreme? I couldn't recall him being as ruthless the last time he encountered a Minotaur. Uh-oh. When I grabbed the hem of his sleeve, he stopped in his tracks. Ignis lifted his foot off of the Minotaur's torso, taking a peek at its unconscious face. I followed suit, my curiosity got the better of me. You beat it fairly easily. What's a beast doing here, though? Those are some awful convenient wormholes, though. Hey, Ignis. I remember minotaurs and other bipedal species are conscious to a certain extent. They're sentient, aren't they? They are. As I recall, the minotaur who took Kororo hostage in BC was different from the one we saw today. What's going on? Who is messaging me?
I'm streaming. Leave me alone.
Compared to the minotaur. Considering that, didn't this one seem cruder, almost primitive?
そういやそうだな。こいつ最初から最後まで鬱陶しい鳴き声しか
We
出てね
kicked its ass. Yes, Kotone did a very good job.
まるで神個体。いや、それ以下の知能みたいな。
Still, because it was splayed out on the ground, knocked unconscious thanks to Ignis, we couldn't check for ourselves. For now, we should speak with Dundo and return this one to Bestia.
あ、図体がでけえからトラックで来いって伝えとけよ。
Roger that. After sending a message to Rindo, he quickly replied that he was on his way. It must have worried him just as much. Then... Oh! Hey! The minotaur spasm took me by surprise. I let out a scream as I leapt backward. Ouch! My back and arms slammed against the wall behind me, which was closer than I thought.
一人で何やってんだよ。
Sorry, I thought it moved, so I jumped. Ow.
どうした？
My hand kind of hurts. I glanced down at my hand to inspect why it was throbbing so badly. There was a scrape, tiny as it was, on the back of my palm, plus tiny droplets of blood began to seep. How hard did you hit your hand? Uh-oh, looks like I banged my hand against the wall. The wall had some blemishes, which explains how I cut my hand, but the wound was nothing. As long as I gave it proper treatment, the cut should clot in no time. But I noticed something. Do you react to blood? Ignis was staring intently at the scrape on my hand. Before I could ask him what was the matter, he grabbed hold of my hand. Oh! Something hot made contact with the cut. What? Oh. Aha. How many seconds had it taken for me to realize I was Ignis' tongue? For a while I was stunned, trying to understand what was going on as it was happening. Hey! Ignis grazed my cut with his tongue, punctuated his lips with sharp breaths. I felt his lips make gentle contact against my skin. It tickled and stung in equal measure. But above all else, it was impossible to ignore the intense embarrassment burning inside of me. Ignis! I shouted so loudly that my voice cracked, which finally seemed to stop him. Does he lose his mind? Initially, Ignis stood there with a blank look on his face. I felt the heat rise in my cheeks. I pressed the back of my hand on his chest. I saw the realization dawn on him, starting in his eyes before it sank downward, gripping his stomach as it pulled him back to earth. What? How does that make sense? How did any of that sentence just make sense? It wasn't long before the red in his cheeks rivaled the red flames engulfing his body. Panic began to set in, and out came a flurry of excuses before I posed a single question. Uh-huh. Like, that's not the problem. The problem is you losing your mind and ability to speak. Because you act on instinct. Okay, I understand. What was this? This overwhelming awkwardness. I could still see heat rising from my hand. Every time I glanced downward at it, Ignis shifted his gaze elsewhere. Someone, please save us from this punishing silence. I muttered the invocation to myself silently. Then we heard a pair of brakes screech from the direction of the street, followed by a gaggle of footsteps rushing towards us. The footsteps belonged to none other than Rindo, whom I had contacted earlier. Spicy!
うわ、想像以上にでかっ。
Rindo eyed the unconscious Minotaur, inspecting every inch of its enormous body carefully.
こんなデカ物が表に出る前に捕獲できてよかったよ。イグニスが一緒だから大丈夫だとは思うけど、怪我は。
His voice trailed off as though he picked up on the subtle, awkward tension lingering in the air.
何この空気?
No. Don't worry about it. Suspicious shadow. Dot. Okay then, suspicious shadow. The GPM agents gathered at the scene where we encountered the beast, covering it with the sheet before loading it in and driving off. Reno set him off with a wave, waiting until the truck was a bit further away before letting out a heavy sigh. By that time, both Ignis and I had somewhat recovered from our interaction.
それにしてもまたベスティアの魔獣とはね。確かにホールが多い世界だけど。
Maybe it's Mikado. And Mikado's doing some kind of stuff to the Minotaurs. Who knows? Reno stretched his neck as he contemplated what it could mean while the truck carrying the Minotaur vanished.
またピンポイントでこの街に。ホールは固定でもしない限り、世界中にランダムでつながる可能性があるんだけどな。なのただの偶然だろ。
Okay, it happening once. Okay, fine. It happening twice. Suspicious, but we could let it go. But like, the Minotaurs vanishing from their original, like, not country, from the original world, and suddenly showing up in this exact same town again? Yeah, no, I don't think that's coincidence.
今結論が出せる話じゃないか。とりあえずこの件は僕らに任せて。そろそろ日も暮れるし、君たちもアンシャンテに戻ったら。
Like, just the two of us? Oh my god!
もちろんそうだね。お前は来ねえのかよ、リンド。
He's right. Come have a cup of coffee. In fact, let's make it a dinner. The intense embarrassment from earlier found its second wind, and an encore of shame scored by the mere idea of us being alone. I hope for nothing more than for Rino to accompany us and diffuse the tension which refused to leave us.
僕後処理あるからさ。
Damn it. My wish was quickly dismissed, albeit with a reasonable excuse.
というかイグニス、普段僕を邪魔者扱いしてるのにどうしたんだい急に。
うっせえな、こっちにもいろいろあったんだよ。
I love his embarrassed face. Rino seemed taken aback by his attitude. Any subsequent attempts to cover the truth, it seemed only served to worsen things. Shall we go, Ignis? Let's not take up any more of Rino's time while he works. We wasted no time departing from the alley. Ignis and I walked on the path of the lively main street, doing so together in silence, although maintaining a healthy distance. Yes, may I help you?
なんで敬語の上にそんなにビビってんだよ。
Oh, sorry, you scare me. What the hell are you? Anything you want to say? Yeah, can you get me a kiss CG? I only got $5. There were other reasons, of course, but I trusted Ignis was aware enough of what I was thinking, which I kept quiet. It seemed this was a sufficient hint, and he paused his initial line of questioning. Then he spoke again. You be back with the kiss CG. Oh, okay.
なんだ。傷大丈夫なのか。
は？
だからさっきの手の傷だって。
He struggled to look at my hand without blushing intensely as he pointed his trembly finger to the cut.
にとっちゃ傷のうちにも入らねえ程度のもんだけどよ。お前人間の女にとってはちげえだろ。痛むだろうしよ。
Aww.
アンシャンテに戻ったらきっちり手当てしとけ。
Aww.
適当に済ませんなよ。
As he concluded his mumbled but well-intentioned suggestion, I closed the awkward space between us. I could say the same thing about you, Ignis. But a truer, warmer feeling began to emerge through the haze of embarrassment. Thank you for your concern. There was something charming about the way he delivered his shy but kind gestures. Not like I was worried or anything. What are you, tsundere? Yeah. Yeah. I can't believe how weird you're being. Before I knew it, I broke out into a smile which seemed to dissipate any remnant of shame. I made my way back to Enchanté while Ignis howled at the moon beside me. Wait, what? Why is he howling at the moon? Nut! What? Nut. Okay. The thing concerning Ignis and Rindo was, why are minotaurs appearing in our world? What drew them to this particular town? Something that seemed to be little more than coincidence would soon become a source of torment for Ignis and myself. Well, of course it would. Chapter 2. 1 hour for one chapter means we won't be able to make his whole route in one go, but... A few days later, although the Minotaur's sudden arrival took me by complete surprise, thanks to Ignis' quick reaction, was handily incapacitated in no time, which saved us a lot of trouble. We managed to catch everyone up to speed on what had happened, but it was just a mere coincidence after all. Therefore no one made anything of it. At Enchanté was business as usual, a vibrant but peaceful day. One day... It was peaceful. As I was preparing a batch of dripped coffee grounds based on a rare type of Hawaiian Kona beans. Hawaii Kona, a variety of coffee bean cultivated in the Kona district on the island of Hawaii. Among coffee connoisseurs it is known as being scarce and high in quality. I stood while listening to some of the bright chatter occurring throughout the cafe. Jesus. Some of the guests occupying the cafe at this time were the Demon King, the Beast, and... Baby 1 and Baby 2. Kari and Kororo observed as the other two played a heated game of poker.
Bullhouse. Ignis, そっちはワンペアね。ってことは、はい、また俺の勝ち。次のコーヒーもイグニスのおごりね。
だー、くっそ、またかよ。なんで一度も勝てねえんだ。ミシェル、てめえ、なんか適当な力使ってこっちの手札覗いてんじゃねえだろうな。
いやいや、覗くまでもないって。君の顔がそりゃもう分かりやすく手札の中身を教えてくれますから。
これでイグニスの8連敗。
Ouch. That has to hurt. Maybe you should consider raising the white flag. I placed a pot of freshly brewed coffee in front of Michia. It was hard not to burst into laughter at their witty exchange. Judging by how things were panning out, it seemed as though Ignis would be the one to foot the bill for the coffee. Well, I'm pretty sure Michia has an unfair advantage here.
立場的にも心理戦の一つや二つ軽くこなせないと。
Is it? Misha put his lips to the mug, taking a moment to partake in a victorious smile before claiming his hot, caffeinated prize. Ignis, on the other hand, stewed in his resentment, staring angrily back at Misha before asking me a question.
Oh,
never. I don't know how to play poker. I couldn't help from tensing up at the mention of Ignis' inquiry and Kororo's affirmative cry. Affirmative cry. Me?
そういえばそうだね。いつも観戦してることの方が多いかも。
この際だし、ちょっとイグニスと対戦してみれば。結構いい勝負になるかもよ。
おう、俺は構わねえぞ。ま、手は抜いてやんねえけどな。
How do you go easy on someone in poker? Isn't it like completely luck based? I searched for an appropriate response. I wouldn't mind playing, but just don't be too disappointed, okay?
Three card.
I got nothing.
2ペア。
No pair. Oh no! And here I thought maybe she would be really good.
1ペア。
No pair again. Both Misha and Ignis gaze at me sympathetically, quietly collecting a scatter of cards without a world. It isn't easy. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's easy.
強く生きて。
Kanya tapped me lightly on the shoulder. I could have imagined it, but it seemed like even Kododo pitied me for my defeat, despite knowing nothing at all about poker. Oh god, so she's someone who's just completely unlucky with the cards.
方はなかなかだったけど、肝心のカードの引きが悪いというか。
お前逆にすげえな。ここまで役が揃わねえやつ初めて見たぞ。
I told you not to be disappointed. Alright, I've never been one to opt for games that involve chance. I can play things like board games, but
前からちょっと不運気味だな
you
と
have
思って
that air about you? What do you mean I have that air about me?
ここまでとは思わなかったぜ。
You put the mess in this phone.
ここに極まってな。
Hey,
お前大丈夫か？外に出るだけで車にひかれかけて詐欺にあったりしてねえだろ。
it's not that bad. Just as I was about to challenge his silly notions, the clock rang, signaling evening. On this day, every week I close up early in order to restock ingredients or just cause. However, the lives who live in the cafe, along with anyone involved with running it, were largely unaffected. What? My only real duty was to put away the sign and tidy up the cafe. After those tasks, I had all the free time I wanted until it was time to prepare dinner. What should I do after this? Maybe I'll take a walk to the market for groceries. As I stood there contemplating. Kododo. Although it was unclear to what exactly Kododo was reacting, he started flapping flippers and tail atop the table. Uh,
こりゃお前について行きたがってんな。
oh. Huh? But he usually naps or hangs out with Karya. Is something the matter?
今日はたまたまそういう気分なんじゃない？連れてってあげれば。
Maybe he's like, you're so unlucky, I need to protect you.
ぬいぐるみのふりでもさせとけば、不審な目を向けられることもないでしょ。
Okay. If I had to guess, maybe Kododo wanted to explore places other than Bistia for once. Do you promise to be a good boy, Kododo? My question was met with energetic glee, but it was impossible to tell whether or not he really understood me. Oh no, it's not.
じゃあ、留守は俺たちが預かるよ。いってらっしゃい、二人とも。
Thank you too. Out of reflex, I made eye contact with Ignis at whom Misha appeared to give a knowing smile.
おい、なんで自然に俺までカウントしてやがんだ。
だって万が一コロロがはぐれたら、君の鼻ですぐ終えるでしょ。
Sure.
君はコロロを拾った本人なわけだし、保護者責任はきっちり果たさないと。
誰が保護者だ、誰が。
Luckily for Kododo, he was in a perfect position for a display of affection. In his particular case, a headbutt. He gently struck Ignis' elbow, which was resting on a corner of the table. Gently.
うわ、痛そう。骨の隙間に角入ったよね。
Contrary to Ignis, who clutched his elbow in agony, Kododo glanced at Ignis, his eyes sparkling with trust and admiration for Ignis.
こいつはいつまで経っても加減ってやつを覚えねえな。
Just a little guy.
That's how Kododo expresses affection. You couldn't stay mad at him even if you wanted to. By the looks of things, it seems like Kododo wants you to tag along with us. What do you say?
あったよ。わかったから。追撃の構えを取るんじゃねえ。
If Kododo were human, one might have thought he was locked in a crouching start. After spending the last minute or so rubbing the small fuzzy creature's head, Ignis stood from his seat. Let's go! Though we had no destination in mind, Ignis, Kododo and I set off on our walk. I held the wiggly crying Kododo in my arms as we trekked around town. I had a hunch that Kododo wouldn't be able to handle a large crowd for too long, so Ignis and I made an agreement. It felt more sensible to explore openly, stopping only if something caught my eye. If I liked it, I'd buy it. Simple as that. Simple as that. I see it. I like it. Then we made our way to the road's edge. The slew of passing automobiles caught Kododo's notice, to which he responded with an inquisitive cry. Whoa, Kododo, it's okay to cry now and then, but could you please keep it down?
分かってんのか分かってねえのか。
I mean, he did speak. Once.
こいつどこまでこっちの言葉を理解してんだろうな。
I wonder the same thing. He's fairly responsive, especially when we're talking, so he must be cognizant. Plus, he quieted down when I asked him. Maybe he possesses some understanding of our thoughts and feelings. Oh yeah, isn't Kododo capable of mimicking human speech like a parrot? It's been a while since we've tested him. I wonder what other words he knows besides our names.
そうや、他は聞いたことねえな。
You were there.
俺らが知らねえだけで、大体のやつの名前はもう覚えてんじゃねえの？
Indeed, let's test him a bit. Kododo wore a curious expression as he called up my arms, so I asked him to say. Okay, Kododo, repeat after me. Wait. Oh. Let's go, Kadia. Last but not least, let's try Kadia's name next. Kododo so attached to him. Okay, Kododo, can you say Kadia? Oh! It almost sounds like he has a lisp. Aw. 10 out of 10 for being super adorable.
んだよ、満点って。趣旨変わってねえか。
I guess we were supposed to, like, go in order. Regardless, seeing Kododo put forth effort in learning our names earned him a nice belly rub. Guess that confirms that he's warmed up to all the regulars now. Ah, hold on. Wait. Hold on. Come on, Kododo, can you say Michi? Yeah? Ah, so close.
シェとか微妙に発音しづれんだろうな。
She. Her voice sounds like a cat's meow. It's a... Okay! Regardless, seeing Kododo put forth effort in learning our names earned him a nice belly rub. Okay. So you can only go for one of them. Ah, whatever. Now if you could get along with Dromi too.
それは無理じゃねえか。あいつが来店するたびものすげえ威嚇してやがるし。
True, I wonder what it is about Dromi that Kododo can't seem to
あいつ
stand.
のうざさとアホさを本能で感じ取ってんじゃねえの。ま、ドローミ一匹嫌ってる程度大したことじゃねえだろ。それで問題を起こすようなやつでもねえし。
Ignis was sure to note, however, how headbutting Dromi didn't count as a problem. It was happening again. Ignis picked up on a scent in the air, halting him in his tracks. Ignis, what's the matter?
いや、匂いがなんつうか。どっちだこれ。車のガスの匂いと混ざってるわ。
Ignis squinted his eyes, trying hard to make out objects far into the distance beyond the road. Had he found something? Just as Kododo and I look ahead. A familiar roar! Ah, As soon as I gasped, I was met with a familiar scene where vehicles soared through the sky and dominated by a periphery. Townspeople began to flee for safety. Straight ahead of us, the creatures swatted at nearby cars, taking menacing, fearsome steps before foot prep. What? Where did foot prep make any sense in that sentence? Minotaurs were outnumbered. They're bipedal. The Minotaurs had us cornered. I mean, sure, they had likely been waiting for us the whole time. The Minotaur's hooves clopped on the pavement as it charged towards us. Okay, you sure you'll be okay though, Ignis? Unlike last time, there are more of them than us. You might not be able to do it all on your own.
心配すんな、分かってる。ためっとくせえ場所に出てきやがって、あの牛肉ども。とにかく人間の被害さえなきゃ、道路や建物は林道が何とかすんだろ。
Okay, if you say so. While Ignis delegated some of the dirty work to Rindo, the Minotaurs were gaining speed as they charged at him. For better or for worse, it had seemed as though the Minotaurs were blind to anyone but Ignis. Ignis clenched his fist, bracing himself for a retaliatory strike against the Minotaurs, but before the Titans could reach Ignis... A white shadow emerged from the video game shop. A radiant chain of light materialized, which was used to round up and restrain the beasts. Ignis watched it all unfold, letting out a light sigh as he stepped within range of the light. Ignis had literally sank his opponents into the asphalt in an instant. The chaos had yet to settle, but as far as I could tell, everyone on our side would emerge from this unscathed. Plus, the chain which strangled them belonged to... Who else would it have been? Eel! That chain of light belonged to you. That was your magic.
以前にもお見せしたものです。あの程度の個体であれば動きを封じることは容易かと。
挨拶と説明は後にしろっての。人間どもに写真撮られる前にその羽とっとく隠しやがる。
ああ、そうでした。また林道に叱られてしまいます。
Eel scanned the area around us for any civilians before tucking away his wings.
二人とも大事ないか。人の多い店内だったのでな。出遅れてしまいすまん。
From out of the very same game shop where Eel was browsing emerged Canis, as imposing but gentle as ever.
カヌス、てめえもここにいたのか。
ああ、我はいるのを付き添いでな。
Canis responded matter-of-factly, unlike Eel, whose eyes instantly lit up.
今日はこちらのお店でとある乙女ゲームの発売記念抽選会が行われていたのです。
A lottery held at game shops and other places to commemorate the release of a game. With good luck, one can win extravagant prizes related to the game.
そして見てください。なんとカヌスが引いたくじでポスターが当選したのです。
まあ、そういうわけなのだ。頭数としての付き添いはな。
I stood beside Ignis, whose jaw looked unhinged from exasperation. I, on the other hand, called Rindo. Okay, I updated Rindo.
なんつうか、お前も手慣れてきたよな。
It's like, hey, something's happening. Ring, ring. Hey, Rindo, get over here. Not that it's much to be proud of.
いる。ひとまずこのアルムムたちの姿を隠せるか。さすがに人目を集めすぎている。我らの存在はごまかせたとしても、アルムムたちへの対処は難しい。
了解しました。一時的ですが光の屈折を利用しましょう。
Eel approached the constricted Minotaur slowly, readying the spell he prepared. Then, after peeking into the Minotaur's faces, Eel tilted his head.
イグニス、アルムムとやらはこのような濁った瞳をしている魔獣でしたでしょうか。
Both Ignis and I peeked into the eyes of one still conscious Minotaur, although Ignis seemed nonplussed about it. Then, as expected, the beast resorted to the grunts. Its eyes began to bulge from its skull, giving me the impression that they could pop out at any second. Yikes! They probably trained to react to Ignis and Ignis only. As Kododo trembled in my arms, I couldn't help but follow suit, letting out a whimper. My intense panic thankfully was mitigated by an incoming call I received. I pressed answer with the intention of distracting myself from that wicked gaze. Hello?
連絡ありがとう。そっちに部下を向かせといてよ。ただちょっとね。こっちも手一杯って感じだから、少しばかり到着が遅れるかも。
Reno's voice quivered with slight worry. Did something happen at the GPM?
GPM っていうよりはベスティア側かな。
Uh-oh. Ignis reached out his hand towards my phone, meaning he overheard Rindo's remark.
俺が話す。
Sure.
おい、リンド。今のどういう意味だ？俺の地元がどうしたって？
Ignis put the phone to his ear, speaking in an uncharacteristically hushed tone. Rindo, however, seemed unbothered that Ignis had taken the phone to discuss the matter with him himself.
ちょっと彼女と一緒に GPM まで来てくれないかな。大事な話があるんだ。
But why do I need to come though? Huh? We left the task of loading the Minotaurs in the Minotaurs to the GPM, Canis and Eel, not to mention Kododo, who seemed tired. Ignis and I made our way to the headquarters of the GPM, rather than being escorted by Rindo himself. A gang of agents welcomed us in. We entered the elevator, which took us deep into the underground facility. Uh-oh. Ooh.
やあやあようこそ GPM もとい究極の天才たる僕が作り出したホールの前このフロアに来るのは初めてだろうさあもっともっとじっくりねっとりと僕の成果を鑑賞し褒めたたえてくれたまえ
Yes, you're wonderful. Genius. Mikado continued to wax poetic about his invention. But I needed no preface of his to be completely captivated by the mishap in space, the wormhole. It sat in the middle of the room. This is the GPS famous wormhole. I vaguely recalled Rino describing it to me in the past, but seeing it with my own eyes was something else entirely.
一応気をつけて。特にこれ自体は害はないけど、繋がってる先が先だからね。
Rino cautioned us with a furrowed brow. To my side, Ignis grew impatient.
おい、こっちはこの変人の自画自賛に付き合うために来たんじゃねえぞ。さっさと要件を話しやがれ。
あ、
大方、そこの牛肉どもの話に決まってんだろうけどな。
Something caught Ignis' attention. It was in a corner of the room. He stared intently at a line of large cages, the inhabitants of which growled at Ignis. Upon closer inspection, there were... What? Uh-oh. It was a group of minotaurs. Thick chains restrained them to their cages. Several minotaurs comprised their ranks, both bipedal and quadrupedal alike, trying to free themselves from imprisonment. Why are there so many minotaurs here? I mean, they don't seem like the minotaurs that attacked us earlier, do they?
まあ、そこにアルムムがたくさんいるのはそのままの理由なんだけどね。そこにいるアルムムはみんなここ数日でホールから落ちてきた奴らで、それを GPM が捕獲したってわけさ。
Hmm.
てめえらがベスティアで捕まえたわけじゃねえのか。
おや失敬な。アルムムに関してはすでに研究済み。それをむやみやたらに捉えたりはしないよ。だけどね。
Mikado raised his arms, waving his white coat in the air as his voice trailed.
ミカドアキラ、要求された魔獣のデータを各種揃えておいた。
You again. Clutched in his hand was a thick dossier. Someone whom I assumed to be Mikado's assistant exited from the elevator.
おー、ナイスタイミングだよ、ジョシ君。それをイグニス君に手渡してくれたまえ。それから彼女にも。
I was about to say, don't we know him? Don't we know their system? But I guess he only shows up. No. He did show up before when we first brought Kalia here. The assistant did as instructed, passing the folder to us without a word. Strangely enough, he went off into the corner of the room, observing us silently.
手元の資料を見れば、事の重要さは理解してもらえると思うよ。
I eyed the contents, thrilled by my curiosity as I flipped through the pages. Known Bestial Minotaur locations. One page had a map with several red markings.
おい、まさかこれ、この全部からアルメムが出てきたって言うんじゃねえだろうな。
そのまさかだとも。そう書いてあるだろう。
Mikado coolly shrugged and Rinu picked up where he left off.
幸い、今のところは個体としては弱いやつばかりでね。うちの君たちが捕獲したような一回りでかいアルムムが現れたら、さすがに殉職者が出そうだよ。
Uh-oh.
イグニス、君、アルムムたちがどうしてるか調べさせたんだろう。詳しく。
Rino's request got a tense response from Ignis, who raised his eyebrow.
確かに妙な報告は聞いちゃいるが。
Ignis briefly explained to Rino what he knew about the case of the vanishing Bestial Minotaurs.
なるほど。時期的にも無関係とは思えないね。
僕としてはもう少し詳しい話を聞きたいところなのだけど。
情報はドローミからだ。話を聞くってんなら、一回俺がベスティアに戻ってあいつを引きずってくるが。
Just when Mikado nodded in agreement.
呼んだっすか？ナイスタイミングで来ちゃった感じ。
Nice timing! Dromi! It was Dromi spotting a winning smile as he emerged from the wormhole.
なんか勢ぞろい。店主さんまで。じゃっす。時間的には晩はっすか？
Good evening. Dromi came frolicking over to Ignis' side, perhaps sensing that the latter had mentioned him.
これもしかして例のアルムムの件っすか？うわ、俺ってば。
You have suspicious timing.
良くないっすか？アンシャンテがもし閉まってたらと思ってこっち優先で報告しに来たらドンピシャでみんないるとかラッキーっす。
Mikado turned to face Dromi.
イグニス君と同じく僕らも彼にこの一件の調査をお願いしていたのでね。せっかくだ、一緒に聞くとしようじゃないか。
Ignis and Rino both nodded in turn, instilling a level of confidence in Dromi I had never seen.
おお、なんか俺頼られてる感じ？任せてくださいっす。
Okay. Dromi took a moment to organize his thoughts, inhaling deeply before beginning his report.
兄貴に報告した後、俺もアルムムたちがおとなしいのがやっぱどうも気になっちゃって、あの後も結構いろんなとこで聞き込んで行方を調べたんすよね。で、ベスティアの奥も奥、かなりの辺境に向かったっていう証言をつかんで、俺も行ってみたんすよ。そしたら
His demeanor changed. We all scooted in closer, noticing his shift in mood. The end of the room became tense. Knowing he had our undivided attention, Dromi revealed what he saw.
なんもわかんなかったっす。結構苦労したんすけどね。ほんとすっげえ僻地でなんもいやー、めっちゃ暇だったっす。
Why are you like this?
あれ、どうしたんすか？ここはよく調べてくれたなとか、俺が褒められる流れじゃないですか
Dromi blinked, awaiting a response. Ignis was the first to react as he...
ドローミー。
はいっす。
死ね。
Gave him the iron claw. Ignis does all of us a favor by inflicting his judgment upon Dromi.
特に分かったことはないというのが現状のようだ。
くそ、このアホに1ミリ期待した俺がバカだったぜ。
He tried his best.
けど、 事態はそこまで生ぬるい状況じゃない。何かしらの異変があってもおかしくないはず。
Tommy brought himself back to his feet, responding to Rina's speculation with a point of his own.
変わったことって言ったら、俺がホールに落ちたとか、そんな格好悪い話しかないっすね。
は
あ？いやだからホールに俺落ちちゃったんすよ。アルムムとはまた別の他の魔獣に追いかけられてる途中にうっかり。
何をどんくさいことして。待て。
ちょっと待った。ホールに落ちたって。じゃあなんで君ここにいるの？
Rina was quick to pick up where Ignis' thought trailed, interjecting with a look of genuine surprise. It took me a few seconds to understand the meaning behind his trepidation. Oh, that's right. If the wormhole is not set in a fixed, secure location, then whoever travels through it can control where they land.
ああ、彼がこうしてこの場にいること自体、奇跡というか、おかしいことだ。それに、先ほど君はこのベスティアにつながるホールから出てきた。ますますわけがわからないね。
Tommy was speechless, perhaps from still wrapping his head around the concept. He stood in confusion, then...
本当だ！あれ？俺、めっちゃ普通に人間界に。つうか、アンシャンテのあるあの町にピンポイントで出たから、なんかゲートと感覚間違えてたっつうか。そんで俺、やべえ、もう一回調べなきゃーってちょいってここまで来て、そんでさっきまで普通にベスティアにいて、で戻ってきたんすけど。
Huh? His response was even more confusing. It was unclear if he understood anything. Then something clicked, so I took another glance at the marked map. It dawned on me, these locations looked familiar. In fact, look, the known locations around Enchanté. Ignis was aghast as he processed the flood of information confronting him.
ベスティアで行方不明のアルムが代わりと言わんばかりにあの町にやたら出現してやがる。
Which must mean, do all of the wormholes in Beastia connect to that town?
じゃあアルムムたちがガンガン湧いて出てくる理由って、もしかしてそれを知ってて。
ありえるな。俺は人間界じゃベスティアほど派手に暴れられねえし、あいつらにとってはこっちのが有利な環境ってのは疑いようがね。
It was hard to accept at first, but after the amount of violent minotaurs we encountered went beyond coincidence, it seemed too logical to ignore. The revelation seemed to catch Mikado off guard as he found solace by cuddling a stuffed animal he kept nearby. Wait! How did he come here though? He stumbled through a random wormhole? No.
それとアルムムたちの行方というか根城もね、このペースで人間界に来られたら。
ところでジョシュ君、君の視点で何か気になることとかない？
皆無と返答しよう。加えて私の業務はお前の人外研究のサポートであり、ホールの分野については管轄外である。
はあ、せっかく話を振ったのに。議論の違いがない。
My fingers are itching to look up who this person is because of the voice, but I feel like if I do that I'm going to spoil myself on something, so I'm holding myself back.
ここにいるうちのも適当にしばいて事情を吐かせるのが一番手っ取り早いんだが。
やっばい目。どう頑張っても会話できそうにないっすけど。
Even I could share Andromeda's reluctance to talk to them. The caged minotaurs, much like the minotaur which Il had subdued, they all possessed vacant, cloudy eyes. They stared fiercely at Ignis, ready to pounce him at a moment's notice were they not changed. Chained. Combat instincts? What do you mean insane?
ガキの頃に身内から聞いたことがあって、魔獣は激しい戦いで闘争本能を刺激しまくると正気を失って見境なく暴れちまうんだ。
らしいって。兄貴、それ。
てめえは黙ってろ、トド。
はいっす。
おお、その件に関しては僕も初耳だな。
Even if that were true, how can so many of them go mad at
それも
once?
ごもっとも。高速から結構出すけど、全然正気に戻る様子も見せないし。僕の見立てでは何かしら外的要因があると踏んでるんだけどね。
Mikado approached the cages and peeked into the eyes of Minotaurs without flinching at the monster who dwarfed them in size.
こんな状態の彼らを返却したところで、またホールからあの町へダイビングするだけだろうし、しばらくはこっちに拘束し、身体データの調査もろもろで彼らが正気を失っている原因を調べてみよ
う。琴音ちゃんを呼んだのはこの事情を話しておくためなんだ。
Appreciate it.
あの町というかアンシャンテに住んでる張本人だからね。
I nodded affirmatively at Rindo. I had to tell everybody in Enchanté too. But I wonder what's happening to Bisha and the Minotaurs. Ignis was silent.
どうも俺が直接連中の縄張りを訪ねる必要がありそうだな。
His statement puzzled me. Huh? Visit the turf, as in going off to search for them?
ああ、いくら雑魚とはいえ、こう続々来られたらうざってえし。ホールは俺にどうこうできねえが、連中を見つけさえすりゃおとなしくさせることはできんだろ。
アンシャンテや人間たちに被害がいってからじゃ遅いっすもんね。兄貴ってばやっぱり。
Ignis first connecting with Dromi's head produced a dull thud, the force of which nearly buried his head into his shoulders. But this was typical of them. Rindo didn't bat an eye at the screaming or the cries of agony and continued.
それじゃあ僕らは僕らでこっちのホールから調査班を派遣するよ。とはいえ危険な事態には行けないから結局は君頼りになっちゃうだろう
けど。てめえらと手を結ぶのは尺だが、ま、人手があるには越したことねえが。
Ignis scratched his head absent-mindedly before turning to face me.
ってわけだ、ことね。明日からしばらく俺はアンシャンテをあげる。ミシェルたちがいるから心配はいらねえだろうが、一応アルムムについては警戒しとけ。
Aye, aye, sir. Okay, I'll be careful. Soon after, Rino and I went over our detailed plan. Ignis was to depart for Beastia at dawn. Much to his disliking, Dromi was assigned to join him. Oh yeah. Then at the hour of first light, Ignis stood waiting for Dromi to arrive so that he could leave without saying goodbye, but I deliberately held him back. The reason being, you need to eat before you leave. Yeah.
お前な、こっちは一応真面目な演奏なんだぞ。それだっての、弁当を用意するから待ってろとか。
Yes, I asked him to stick around for a bit longer just so I could feed the hungry wolf. I handled a frying pan simmering Ignis's meal as he posed his incredulous question beside me in the kitchen. You're the one who's going to be sorry if you end up passing out from starvation, am I wrong? It wouldn't be very funny if some other beast were to kill you while you were knocked out.
実際倒れただけに反論。
See? His mission would last at least a few days, so I arranged a menu, one designed to provide him stamina, and that would be tasty even when cold. Oh.
まだか?
His tone was petulant, but I detected a hint of curiosity as to what I cooked him. He didn't seem to rush me. Just a couple more minutes, but promise me you won't wolf it down the moment I hand it over.
わかってるって。
I didn't believe him. I had to watch him, making sure he wouldn't open up the lunchbox until after he entered the gate. But still, it warmed my heart to know that my cooking could still excite him, even in these circumstances. As I added touches of seasoning, I snuck a look at Ignis. He watched my hands intensely with curiosity and interest. Each time I picked up a utensil or added an ingredient, his eyes followed. The kind of look a puppy would give. Ignis, does cooking interest you?
まあ、そこそこな。俺は雑な飯しか作れねえし、きっちり手順踏んで作った方がうまいってのは分かってんだけど。
So, now that you admitted it, do you want to try cooking with me?
Huh?
Oh? A savory aroma rises from the pan as the dish sizzles in high heat. As he grabs the pan, you swing it too hard, you're going to spill it all.
分かってるっての。
Oh. If I hadn't guided him, it was likely Ignis would destroy the pan altogether. I started to coach him at every step, explaining each individual technique. The fire's too high, we're not grilling steak here.
おう
Okay, add salt and pepper to taste. Maybe a bit more soy sauce. Drop a teaspoon's worth in a circular motion. Be careful not to add too
待
much.
てって指示が早すぎんだよ。もっとゆっくり教えろ。
If I slow down, it'll overcook.
なんだこりゃ。喧嘩よりよっぽどこっちのがむずいじゃねえ
Although at first he struggled, soon Ignis began to loosen up.
か。こうなら意地だ。
Aww.
なんでも絶対うまくなるよう仕上げてやる。よし。次は何をすりゃいいんだ。どんどん行ってこい。
Okay. In the end, he found himself comfortable enough in the kitchen to crack a smile and enjoy the process. Very nice. He can probably cook better than I can. After tenacious effort, we began to pack all of the food into lunchboxes. Of course, we included the meal we cooked together in the batch.
実際自分でやってみて改めて実感したぜ。
It's a lot of work.
やっぱうまい飯は手間がかかってるんだな。 適当な飯ならあん時に満足できなかったかもしれねえ。ジジイに改めて感謝だな、こりゃ。
It seems I accomplished opening his eyes to how meticulous and laborious it could be. By the end, though, he sounded exhausted. I can't help but notice something at the end of his statement that catches my attention. Huh? Grandpa, what are you talking about?
ああ、そういやお前には俺とジジイが会った時のこと。まあいいか。ここでごまかすのはお前への不義理ってもんだな。
Ignis cleared his throat and began to open up. He recounted the first time he visited Enchanté. Oh. Backstory. I was there. Compared to some of the other non-humans at Enchanté, I was a newer regular. Unlike Canis and the others who've been going for what? 10 or 15 years, I'd only been around for maybe 5. A bit before the GPM came into the picture. I can tell you exactly which year it was. But at the time I was already famous for being a top fighter in Bestia. Every small fry in the land wanted to be king of the hill, but one after the other I sent them packing with tails between their legs. I fought some more. It was a way of life for me. I never went a day without seeing blood. The day started out like any other, but it wasn't. Anyway. I had finished a particularly tough fight when I caught the scent of the spilled blood which was left by my scared opponents. A bizarre craving began to run rampant within me, festering inside. That's right, the combat instinct. The thing I mentioned yesterday. Let me tell you, it hurts. My vision went red and I began to crave prey without thinking about it. No matter what I tried, it wouldn't stop. After worrying about it for a while... Alright. He doesn't kill. It took all of my willpower. I wandered in search of a secluded place as I struggled to stay myself. In the end, I found something. A strange board standing in a field of ice. Yeah, it was a gate to Enchanté. But since wormholes aren't really a thing that we use in Bistia, I wasn't sure what to make of it at first. I was so desperate to be rid of the craving, I punched the door with all my might. Then, the door suddenly opened. I came to a place without snow or blizzards, somewhere completely different from Bistia.
お、なんだ若造。お前さんも異世界からの客か?
Someone happened to be standing there. He appeared out of nowhere with a rabid look in his eyes like he was plucked from battle, even when looking at me.
ずいぶん参ってんな。まあ、客なら歓迎してやるよ。とっとと店内に入れ。
おい、てめえ、何を勝手に。
威勢がいいじゃねえか。まあそんならすぐ元気になんだろう。
Without fear or hesitation, he dragged me effortlessly into the cafe. Then he set a fresh plate of food in front of me, seemingly out of thin air.
これでも食って落ち着け。イラついてる時にはうまい飯を食うのが一番だ。
飯。
あ？ああ。お前も天使と似たような感じで飯を知らねえ人外か。
The kind old man explained to me what eating was and how to do so. He encouraged me the whole way. Being on the brink of madness, though, made it tough to appreciate it in the moment. I couldn't help taking the savory smell coming from the food, so I did what he said and dug in. Then it hit me. This glaze was smack to the face, my senses overloaded. A tingly feeling took over my tongue, complemented by a pleasant texture. All of the rage within me instantly began to subside just from one bite. I felt like myself again. To me, it seemed I was so in awe from how flavorful the meal was that it calmed my beastly impulses. So I made it a point to continue coming here out of appreciation for the old man. That's all. Aww.
つうわけだ。料理っつう概念とそいつを生み出した人間はそこそこいやだいぶすげえと思ってる。
I see. That explains where you got that appetite. It was such a lovely anecdote.
悪い。今まで黙ってて。
Huh? What do you mean?
ああいや。過去に正気を失いかけたことがあるって部分だよ。昨日は人事みてえに話しちまった。
Oh.
ああ、ガキの頃に魔獣は激しい戦い。
Oh, so we were talking about yourself.
あの流れでお前に知られたくなかったっつうか、うまく言えねえんだけど。
That's alright. I could see why it would be difficult to bring up.
そうか。にしても相変わらず俺のそういうの聞いてビビらねえな。
Well, the past is your past. Wouldn't it be weird to be afraid of something in the past? Besides, speaking for myself, I feel lucky to have heard your story.
なんでだよ。
Not that I think it happened to you again, if and only if you were to succumb to a similar state. All I would need to do is feed you a good meal and you'd be fine, right? Oops. Was my response insensitive? An awkward silence hovered until... Ah, he has a little fang. Well, we've known that. In a soft, intimate voice, he responded with a smile and shook my head. For a couple seconds, I was stunned. Not so much from what he said, but from the warmth in his smile, which he somewhat transferred in my chest. Nonetheless, it was still awkward. I'm no idiot. I stammered like a scared child. Ah? Afterwards, we packed the assembled lunchboxes inside a large duffel bag. Maybe we might have gone overboard? It was possible that I had made too much, especially since they were tiered lunchboxes, but I trusted Ignis to eat it all regardless.
兄貴、お待たせしましたっす。
You probably eat it all in one go. By the time we completed wrapping the lunchboxes, Dromi arrived from Beastia once more at the perfect time. I decided to see the two off, waving to them at the gate on their way to Beastia. But just as Ignis placed his hand on the doorknob, Dromi let out a sudden sharp gasp. He hastily tapped all over his body, specifically on the outside of pockets, in search of something.
すみませんっす、兄貴。俺、ちょっと GPM に忘れ物しちゃったっす。
What are you doing?
忘れ物だ。
ホールを見つけたら落としてこいって博士さんから渡された発信機とかいう変な鉄の塊っす。ってなわけで、俺はあっちのホールから追いかけるんで、先行っててくださいっす。
I trust Dromi less and less, like the longer this route goes on. Without bothering to wait for Ignis' response, Dromi sprinted out.
あ、ほどら。向こうのホールとここから出る場所がどんだけ離れてると思ってやがんだ。
Is it that far?
普通に歩いて数日かかるな。
Oh.
けどま、あいつがいるとギャンギャンうるせえし、ちょうどいいか。最終的な目的地は同じだしな。
Ignis gave it a second go and put his hand on the doorknob.
んじゃ、行ってくれ。しつけえだろうが、アルムムには気ぃつけろよ。
Aye. Right, watch out for yourself too, Ignis. Good luck out there.
おう行ってくる
Something's going to happen. Ignis curled his lips into a smile that was softer than usual, then he opened the gate, returning to the freezing tundra that was his home. A few days later. Alright, here's today's lunch special. For the salad, I've prepared a special dressing, which I've placed here.
これはちょっと
Huh? Is something wrong, Misha? Is there something in there you don't like?
いや今日も美味しそうだしメニュー自体に文句があるわけじゃないんだけど
Is your mount?
ことね我らのテーブルの上に並ぶ料理の量を比較してみてくれ
Huh? I glanced around, seeing the array of dishes I had played in full of confidence. Soon I realized that it was a monstrous amount, an almost intimidating array.
これは明らかに私たちが普段摂取する食事量を
Oops.
大幅に上回っていますね。
Oopsies, I mistakenly kept Ignis' appetite in mind.
カリア君君配膳を手伝ってる途中で気づかなかったの
気づいてたけどなんかぼーっとしてたから声かけて気がつけてさ
Was I really spacing out? Sorry guys, you don't have to eat all of it.
いやいただこうどれも美味であるには違いない
だね食べきれなかった分は夜とかに回せばいいわけだし
Good point. That makes me feel a lot better. Lunch went on without issue, save for my careless over-preparation. The regulars began discussing Bisha over the dessert, coffee and juices. I had informed Misha and the others about Ignis' mission with the Minotaurs.
しかしイグニスがここまでの長期間
Extended leave of absence.
初めてではないでしょうか。
そうだな今までは長くとも2日おきには戻ってきていたように思う
That's true.
我らがマスターも一番食べさせがいのある狼くんの不在に
Well, of course I am. Isn't it normal to be concerned about a long-time guest?
それじゃあそういうことにしておこうか
Uh-huh. I wonder what he was implying.
そんなにそわそわしなくてもそのうちあっさり戻ってくるさアルムムの襲撃も今のところは頻度としては極小対応もうちの手勢で賄えてるし
いざ何かしらの危機があれば我らもためらわず手伝うが現状はそれもないようだしな
True, Ignis will be fine. Ignis was a skilled fighter, one who was sternly against bloodshed. So not only was I sure he would return, I hoped he would do so unscathed. It's just... The cuts of meat I purchased for Ignis will go bad if he doesn't return soon. Like Misha said, that we were aware of how sorely his presence was missed at Enchanté was unsettling. Every passing minute spent inside of the cafe without him around me amplified a dull ache within me. Later that night, I lay bundled in my bed, unable to shake the discomfort. Oh. What's wrong? I woke to the sound of a timid squeak. What's the matter, Kororo? Kororo, who had been snuggling close to me, cried out into the night. It seemed odd for him to wake up this late. He usually slept throughout the night. I watched him patiently, hoping to understand what he was trying to convey. Ah, that's right. You must miss Ignis quite a little bit too, huh, Kororo? I whispered to him softly, petting his fur with gentle strokes as he cooed. Me too, Kororo. We had that in common. I guess I miss Ignis more than I thought I would. I chuckled at the thought. Aww. Eventually, since I was wide awake, I changed into a new set of clothes. I had Kororo in my arms, quietly making my way down to the cafe, trying carefully not to wake Kainos or Eel. While down there, I stared blankly at the gate where I last saw Ignis before he left for Bistia. Of course, I couldn't dare to enter on account of my recent traumatic experience. Nearly being sucked in will do that. I could do nothing more than look. I had Kododo gently in my arms, raising him up so that he could get a better view of the room. Kododo, I know you're lonely, but be a good boy and wait just a bit longer, okay? As soon as he's done with his mission, Ignis will be right back here with a big smile on his face. It seemed as though Kododo understood as he let out an adorable cry as if he had regained his spirits. Okay then, let's go back to bed. We don't want to get up too late. I turned my back to the gate room and made my way back upstairs. Just then... I heard a door burst open behind me. Oh god, no. Before I could react, someone covered my mouth and eyes. From there my body was forcefully dragged backwards. This can't be. I wriggled in protest, but the assailant locked their arms around me tightly. I couldn't budge. Before I could react, I was flung into the open gate. Ah ha ha! Ah ha ha! Ah ha ha!
このような時間帯に申し訳ありません、カヌス。
構わぬが、本当に店から物音がしたのか？
はい。厳密には聴覚だけではなく、店内の急激な気温低下も感知したもので、例えるならば、そう、まるで店の中へ突然吹雪が入り込んできたような。気温の
低下？吹雪？カリアがいないというのにか？あ、まさかゲートでまた何か？ことね。
Uh-oh. Could be Dromia. He can go in and out whenever he wants. He's a guest here, technically. It's freezing. I was sprawled on the icy ground, unable to move my body. I had no clue how I was cast into this Arctic world, let alone how I managed to survive the nap. My body, which was in no way dressed for snow, was on the verge of frostbite. A punishing chill caused my body to shiver violently as if my lungs flooded with ice. I glanced at the tips of my fingers, noticing how they were turning blue, how they were quickly losing sensitivity. And although he had to be fully aware that his actions were mostly futile... Oh, baby! Kododo, who was flung here with me, desperately kept headbutting me to keep me from losing consciousness. I'm glad, Kododo, you're okay. Oh dear. I could scarcely open my mouth without agonizing from the harsh chill. It seemed we were taken by a mysterious shadow which vanished when I awoke. Maybe the gates nearby, or so I hoped. Wherever we were, I knew we were far from home. Then, for you, Kododo, I have to take you. Oh god. Oh no. Somewhere safe. Yes!
何もしない。平気。任せて。恩を返さないと。
Ah ha ha! It's Bunny Girl. Bunny girl, bunny girl, bunny girl. I walked and walked looking for one of the Minotaur strongholds Dromi found near the border. I arrived before a meeting time, so I poked my head and explored a bit. If it's really Dromi behind us, then we have a big case of many problems on our hand, because Dromi is the one who was giving us all of this information. The place's proximity to the border meant it was smaller than some of the other ones, but to the Minotaurs the stronghold was enough of a prize of their victory, a monument to their brutalism. It's vile, but that's why it's unthinkable that it would simply take off. In which case... How was I supposed to negotiate with them if they were nowhere to be found? Pointless.
あいつらが通れそうなでけえホールを探してみるか。
Even if I were to do so, I can't throw my weight around with beasts too intimidated to deny me if I question them. In which case, I hate to say it, I need that stupid tiger.
どこで道草食ってやがる。とっくにここについててもおかしくねえ頃合い。
Maybe he's being chased by some beast again. I was starting to get a bad feeling, but no matter where I went, he always seemed to find me with important info. Instead of waiting for him here and wasting even more time, maybe I should take action. Something rumbled beneath my feet. It wasn't that the frozen water shook, but more like someone was knocking on the ice right below me. What could it be? I peeked down below. Excuse me? Beneath the ice floor I could make out a familiar cry. What's going on? I slowly came to feeling the warmth gradually return to my extremities. Given the environment, the piercing cold was inescapable. At the very least, I could breathe without pain and then no longer shiver. I'm alive. I opened my eyes only to realize I was inside of an igloo. Am I on the inside of a beast stronghold? I sit up and I see that someone had tucked me into a thick blanket. Is this beast fur? It seems that my survival against the unforgiving cold was all thanks to this blanket. I wonder who gave me this. Now then, where was I anyway? Half scared, I glanced around the igloo's interior. Then I eyed the exit. Oh! Never mind, it's not the bunny girl. I made eye contact with a small young boy who was unlike other beast children. He didn't resemble the bunnies, instead he had a pair of fuzzy ears and a wispy tail like a fox. Although he was watching me closely, which I took to mean he stood guard, he showed reluctance to approach me. Were you the one that saved me? Okay, thanks. You saved my life. He nodded plainly, and although he was for the most part expressionless, I detected no hostility from him. Right? So fluffy. Then other beasts of adult age entered. They poked their heads through the entrance. They acted cautiously, half out of concern for me and half for themselves. Oh, what about Kororo? I fully came to and raised my voice. Someone came rushing inside from outside the igloo, shoving the beast out of his way. Hey! Ignis, Kororo! The firewolf, the man I wanted to see, came rushing in. In his hand he held Kororo. Hi! According to Kororo, this hideout was situated near one of the Minotaur strongholds that Ignis was after. Once I'd been taken into this hideout, Kororo searched for Ignis, swimming through the sea to find him. Ignis noticed Kororo underneath the ice floor and was guided. Oh, so that's why Kororo was under the ice. Okay, that makes sense. In turn, I told Ignis about how I was tossed into the gate to Bestia. After I finished my story, Ignis said, disheartened. Yeah, someone's out to get me. And you. So, yes, I hadn't even entered the gate room in the first place. I think someone entered Enchanté through the gate and dragged me here. I figured that the only person capable of taking me to Bestia had to be a beast from here. Oh, it's someone they know! No, they covered my eyes and mouth. They didn't say a word either. I was assaulted from behind too. I don't think even Kororo, who was in my arms, saw them. You're right, they probably get stuck in the door. It was a comical but surreal thought. But thank you for giving it to me in picture form. I pulled out the covers as they slid down my shoulders. I took a deep breath, happy to be liberated from the hellish cold. I could finally stretch my fingers as they warmed. Oh, by the way, any idea why the beast decided to save me? The beast whose custody I was in didn't seem like much of a warring tribe. I wonder if I threatened them. As I contemplated the thought, the boy near the entrance spoke up at last. Huh?
匂いがついてた。そこのイグニスの。
Oh, Ignis' scent. Is that why he saved me? What did it all mean? Ignis probably saved these guys sometimes. Sometime.
俺はこっちで喧嘩の他にも 地元やこいつらみたいな魔獣の用心棒みたいなのをしててな。
Oh. Oh, that's why you kept traveling back and forth to Beastia.
つっても俺が勝手に
Wait,
独善的に
but you're a wolf. And these guys are foxes.
接触したところでビビらせるだけだし、直接会話をすることはほとんどねえんだけどよ。
うん。最初は怖かったよ。でも今は違う。
Ignis' eyes lit up as the boy's fragmented yet sincere remark.
噂で聞いた。あなたが不殺の魔獣で、そこのパークスを助けるためにアルムムと戦ったって。それを聞いて自分が恥ずかしくなった。僕たちだって昔あなたにアルムムに全員駆られそうなところを
Probably
助
saved
けても
people
らった
all
のに
over Beastia and he doesn't even know it.
一方的に怖がってそれからも守ってもらってたのにお礼も言わなかった。だから少しでもその償いと恩返しができればってその子を助けたんだ。
Thank you. After hearing the boy's story, Ignis marched over to him. With his big rugged hands, he patted the boy's head.
恩だの償いだのガキが細けいことを気にすんな。けどありがとよ。お前が現れず俺は死んでも死にきれねえほど。
The boy placed his hand on the area where Ignis had just patted him. Freddy Beast Boy, a weak demon beast boy who looks much like a fox who was saved previously by Ignis. He doesn't talk much but has a kind heart.
役に立てたならよかった。
So cute. He smiled joyfully. A baby. Then the snowfall began to lighten up and I exited the igloo with Ignis, noticing someone running to us. Ha, funny that you would show up, huh?
こんなとこにいたんすね。お待たせしてすみませんす。
本当に遅えよ。
いやー途中で吹雪にあってついうっかり迷子にって。
If it turns out that he has nothing to do with this, then I'm very sorry, but right now I am incredibly suspicious.
なんで店主さんがここに？それにコロロまで。
It's close to the place where Ignis and Dromi had planned to meet up, so I don't think it's that weird that he and also Ignis does care and protect this village, so Dromi probably knows about that, so I don't think that's very I don't know, at this point everything he does is suspicious. Kododo frowned as soon as Dromi approached us. It's a bit of a long story and a little complicated.
はあ、そりゃ災難っすね。アンシャンテの中にさえいれば安全だと思ってたっすのに。てか、店主さんに起きたこと考えると、アンシャンテのゲートの位置、その犯人の魔獣に割れてるんじゃ。
Oh, that's true.
くそ、新しい問題か。だが何をするにも今日はもう遅いし。仕方ねえ。俺の地元で一泊すっか。
Village? You mean wherever you come from is close to a settlement?
ああ、それにここに泊まったらまた前みてえに周りを俺の騒動に巻き込む可能性。
本当はゲートに戻るのが一番なんすけど、ここからじゃ微妙に遠いっすからね。
Yes, I understand we are near depth for the night. Huh. Like, Kododo also has to have a reason to distrust Dromi so much, so... Afterwards, I give the young beast boy my thanks for saving me and I bid the others goodbye. We set out into the icy world to head towards Ignis' hometown. I wrapped myself in a woolly blanket which the boy had given to me. It was only deterrent against the unruly Beastia winds and I tacked close behind Ignis. From time to time, Ignis and Dromi would spot my footing and we took breaks here and there to rest. We made our way through a narrow, winding path, climbing through glacial mountains and ice blocks. The layers of snow and ice darkened. This mysterious place seemed out of reach for explorers. Oh. Ah! Unlike the rest of what I'd seen here, settlements comprised of snow and ice. Throughout the interior and exterior of the settlement, everywhere I looked, I saw fire. A spectacle I had never laid eyes on. I had the feeling that this place was special. This is... Ooh, Veneto territory. Ignis is homeland in a remote region of Bestia. Unlike the territory of other demon beasts, it has the characteristic of being lit with flames. As we chatted at the entrance.
Oh, Ignis か。こんな夜更けに襲撃かと思わず身構えた。
He was an older person, possibly in his 50s. He strangely resembled Ignis, but the fire covering his body was noticeably weaker. He appeared to be a fellow firewolf. His uncle? The man Ignis addressed as his uncle eyed me with Kororo nestled in my arms. Oh, good evening. Ignis has been treating me kindly. Yeah.
Oh,
We're not a beast.
お嬢さん、イグニスとはどんな関係で？
I was unsure of how to respond. What should I say? Under normal circumstances, I would say that he's a regular at my cafe and that would be the end of it, but I don't think Ignis has told anyone about Enchanté, has he? Make up a story. A light bulb burned off in my head. My connection with Ignis outside of Enchanté was bundled in my arms. We're taking care of this little guy who we found abandoned. Okay, yeah. I raised Kororo up as we offered our explanation, hoping he would take it. Don't be rude! He's a baby of a species known as sea beasts.
これが噂の幸運の象徴だという。こんな辺境で見かけることができるとは。
His uncle's fascination shifted from me to Kororo in an instant. He examined Kororo, touching his blubber rolls with great intrigue. Okay. Yay! Guess we're lucky to have Kororo with us.
イグニスの知人ということであれば、寝床の一つや二つ喜んで貸そう。
Nice.
代わりと言ってはなんだが、イグニス、もう少しこっちに戻ってくる頻度を増やせんか。こんな秘境にわざわざ来る魔獣はおらんだろうが、過去のこともある。いざという時にお前がいないとなると。
わかった。全処するよ。
With that, the man arranged for a pair of igloos for us to use as a lodging for the night. But there's no one else? Something peculiar caught my attention. I surveyed the compound as we were escorted. Even considering that it was past midnight, the firewolf population here was dramatically lower than expected of a place this big. If I had to guess, I would say I saw no more than 20 firewolves at most, but they all had one thing in common. I feel like everybody's shocked to see you, Ignis.
俺はめったにこっちに戻ってこねえからな。ここにいるのが単に物珍しいんだろ。それに、ヴィニトルはいろいろあって、基本そんな好戦的な魔獣じゃねえんだ。
But you are.
だから、喧嘩っ早いゆえに最強の魔獣だのを名乗ってる俺には近づきづれえんだろうな。
Okay. He mentioned that the only person he could be himself around was the man guiding us. He trusted the man whom he referred to as his uncle. I never knew he had a guardian. Ignis told all of this to me casually, a conversational aside as he walked. But for me, it began to stir some complex feelings inside of me.
よいしょっと。これだけの毛皮があれば、店主さんもあったかいっすかね。
Indeed, this should be more than enough. Thanks for bringing them over to me, Jeremy.
お礼は無用っす。店主さんにはいつも美味しいアイスとコーヒーをもらってるんで。
It's so suspicious of you, my good dude.
ところで。床にいるコロロがっすね。完全に俺を標的と定めて、じわじわ近づいてきてんすけど。できれば噛まないように
Get your dog! It don't bite. Yes, it do! Oh, I just want to take my eyes off you, bad boy, Kororo. But thankfully it was enough to deter him. He retreated playfully, sparing Domi from his vicious crawl. I'm so sorry about Kororo. Oh, by the way, which igloo is Ignis staying at? Shortly after I was escorted to my igloo, he hurried outside. Was he already asleep? Oh, he's not sleeping at all. Standing watch.
他の凶暴な魔獣がここを嗅ぎつけてないか確認してるんです。多分さっきここへ来るのに通った道にいるんじゃないですかね。
I see.
じゃ、俺は自分の寝床に戻るっす。二つ隣の雪道にいるんで、なんかあれば呼んでくださいっす。
You can go to sleep here if you're so sleepy, Kororo. I'm going outside for a little bit. Of course you are! I wrapped a blanket around myself and ambled onto the snowy road. Midway I made contact with an ice block and gasped at its coldness. I spot the werewolf whose flames stuck out like a sore thumb in the sea of white. He wasn't doing much of anything. He stood in an upright position, gazing up at the evening sky absent-mindedly. Without saying a word, I approached him. I stood beside Ignis as if to mimic him and look up at the sky. Snowflakes continued to float down from the sky. They were like translucent snow crystals, illuminating in the moonlight like jewels. Beachia's sky is beautiful at this time of night.
こんな血生臭い世界が綺麗な。んなこと言うやつ初めて見たぜ。
Watching the night sky is nice.
こんなとこに来ていいのかよ。ようやく落ち着ける場所につけたってのに。明日は起きてすぐゲートへ戻るんだから早めに寝ろよな。
Yes, of course, I had read back, but I just wanted to check up on you. Shouldn't you sleep too, Ignis?
いわゆる寝ずの番ってやつだな。心配しなくても一鉄や二鉄程度は魔獣にとっちゃ大した影響ね。
I see. That's good, I think. In my case, not so much. The scattered glaciers which dotted the range intensified the chill of winds blowing through them.
つってもここじゃな。
He trails off, taking a minute to look at our surroundings. I wasn't sure how much longer I could
当たり前
handle.
だが何もねえか。知らねえ。だったらこれが一番マシか。
Ah. Wow! Ooh! That's a bunch of... A bunch of CGs! Without asking for consent. Oops. He was forceful, not so much aggressive as it was confident as he pulled me into him. My body was being gently embraced by Ignis. Haha! As soon as I made contact with his body, thank you. I was enveloped in warmth in more ways than one. He stared longingly at my face for a few moments.
あの時、俺を探しに来たコロロの必死な様子を見て、お前が一人でこのベスティアにいるって思って、心臓が凍りついた。
Wait, what do you mean on that day? This was like a few hours ago, right? Huh? He spoke from his heart softly, candidly.
お前がどこぞの魔獣に殺されちまったんじゃねえかって。そんな光景を想像するだけで、なりふり構わず吠えそうになっちまった。ことね、お前、ちゃんとここにいるんだな。この残酷な世界に食われねえで、俺の隣で、ちゃんと生きてんだよな。
Ignis, as if to reaffirm his notions, pulls me closer into him. I noticed his arms trembled against me. Yes, I'm alive, thanks to the young fox boy. No, thanks to your mercy and commitment to peace. To relieve him of his anxieties, this time I nestled my body into his.
俺の終わりのねえ喧嘩がお前の命をつなげたってなら、まあ上々だよな。少なくとも無意味にはならね
A lifetime of fighting. I let the sentiment sink in for a moment as I pressed in closer. Hey, why are there so few firewolves who live in the stronghold?
ほとんどが殺されたからだな、昔。今じゃまともに戦える男は俺ぐらいしか残ってね。だから、ベスティアへ戻ってきた時には、こうやって見張りの番を引き受けてんだ。
That was my first inclination, and I anticipated his confirmation. Hearing it come out of his mouth, I couldn't shake the grief welling in my chest. Still, I want to get to know Ignis more. I want to know why he expressed so much contempt for this world, for his home from time to time. So I composed myself, hoping I wasn't prying too much.
話すのは構わねえさ。ただ、辛くなったら言えよ。途中でもやめっから。
Okay. Just as I was about to ask, Ignis seemingly read my expression. He began to open up, unraveling his tragic history, and the reasons which motivated him to become the greatest fighter Bishi had ever seen. Wow! This chapter is giving us a lot! My people, firewolves, began as a small tight-knit tribe that did their best to resist being wiped out a long time ago. The truth is I'm losing my headphones. Hold on. The truth is, we've always been persecuted. Ever since Specious ancient times, people set out to exterminate the firewolves. It became something of pastime, a baseless, bizarre tradition that sadly has survived through generations. We've experienced torment, oppression, and suffering in ways that went beyond murder. Also, a tribe's stronghold is always under the threat of raiding tribes that want to come in second. That happened when I was a kid. Oh no! Flames spread, melting our stronghold, red-stained snow, a scarlet of another name. The corpses of my kin, faces I saw alive and well moments ago, strewn on the ground. Among them were the women and small children incapable of defending themselves. Those lifeless bodies were trampled, kicked around. The raiders did nothing but laugh. They chased any surviving firewolves as if they were playing a game of tag, murdering their targets for sport. On that day, I saw the face of evil. I remember it so clearly. All I could do was howl in rage, a scorching rage which consumed me. Before I knew it, I lashed back at them. The part of the story is kinda fuzzy. When I came to, the raiders vanished from our stronghold. That's right. According to the firewolves who managed to hide during the raid, apparently I went on a rampage and trashed at the invaders until they were driven away. That was when it was discovered that I was one of the strongest firewolves in our history, but that didn't matter a bit. Because during my rampage, the surviving firewolves folk I spent time with every day of my life, people I called my friends, were murdered. That scared little kid, I was fending off a bunch of raiders and he came running towards me. But in my bloodlust, my manic state, I couldn't save him. In fact, I couldn't remember a thing.
その後悔になる原因になった。この世界のルール自体が憎くて仕方ねえんだ。
Same went for Dromi. Sure, he might prance like an idiot all the time, but his entire family was murdered too. In fact, his situation is probably far more tragic than mine, since he's the last of his species. The last? Firewolves and Werkheads lived closely for years, and we both suffered the same fate of persecution. We were neighbors. That's how he was taken in by the Firewolf tribe. Well, at the end of the day, this only made life tougher for him, having to contend with raid after raid. His resilience is the sole reason that he's alive today. Don't tell me a sad backstory if he turns out to be evil. Please? After gazing at the field, Ignis stared at the vast field of ice upon which a massacre could be happening, just as it had so many times before.
魔獣は闘争本能のままに理由もなく強さを証明し合うために争う。一応俺も魔獣だからよ。それについては諦めてるっつうか、ある程度受け入れてんだ。
Yeah, no workheads except for him. That's so sad. He continued with a whimper in his voice.
殺すんだ。別に殺さなくたって強さを証明することはできんだろ。人間界の野生の動物みてえに生き死にがかかってるなら、まあ複雑だが、ベスティアは違え。魔獣たちはただ強さを求めて殺し合う。それも戦う意志がねえ弱い魔獣まで巻き込んで、あえて残酷にむごたらしく。ガキの頃からずっとその理由を考えてきたけどよ。 未だに納得できる答えを出せてね。
I listened without saying a word as Ignis' voice cracked. Perhaps this was the first time he had ever opened up about his trauma. Each word felt cumbersome and awkward. He looked insecure about whether or not he could accurately convey the storm that raged inside of him. As a response, I mustered a single nod of affirmation. Seeing this, he finally...
その価値観を変えたいと思ってベスティアのトップに立ったんだ。俺が誰の血も流さず魔獣の頂点に立てば少しぐらいは影響を受ける魔獣が出てくるかと思ったんだよ。
At last he revealed what he fights for in this
今
world.
更この血に染まった世界を平和にしたいなんて高望みはしねえ。せめて殺した命に対して敬意を払う程度の価値観が欲しかった。
So Ignis kept fighting. Despite the persecution, despite being an outcast, he wanted to usher in a new world. One without killing or bloodshed. But judging by the condition of the Minotaurs...
結局トップに立っても何も変わらなかったけどな。ベスティアに戻れば襲われてむしろ俺の命を狙う順をめぐって殺し合いが起こる始末だ。なあ、ことね。答えなくてもいいから聞いてくれるか。
Instead of answering verbally, I give a slight nod for an answer. I let him know I'm listening, that I'm catching every single word.
どうして俺の故郷はこんな残酷な世界になったんだろうな。
I don't know, because the writers thought it would be a good idea.
もし遥か昔にその元凶になった奴がいたとしたなら俺はそいつを一生恨む。
Ignis unleashed his aimless anger out towards the desolate tundra. After saying everything he needed to say, Ignis quietly took a breath and exhaled.
聞いてくれてありがとうよ。俺はずっと誰かにこの本心
Oh
を
man!
打ち明けたかったのかもしれねえ。
Was it really okay to tell me? I'm just a human who knows nothing about
いいんだ
Bestia.
よ。いや、お前だからこそ話したいと思った。
Why is that?
は？どうしてってそれをお前。俺はそのこうして話を聞いてくれる。
Without missing a beat, his stomach began to growl. We looked at each other and immediately he couldn't contain our laughter. Oh come on, did you time that? Is this normal?
仕方ねえだろ。どんな気分の時だって腹が減る時は減るんだからよ。
Excuses aside, Ignis could hardly contain his laughter as well. After his sorrowful story came the kind of typical exchange we would have at Enchanté. Being flung into this place might have spelled total disaster, at least at first, but I was beginning to think that as long as I remind myself that I'm with Ignis, as long as we could laugh together, I would find peace through the chaos. In the end, we spent a few more minutes getting all of our laughs out. But Ignis, why in the world is your stomach growling so loud? You were fine before I got here.
お前が近づいたら急になんか食い物とか持ってんのか？
Huh? Why would I? I was dragged here in the middle of the night. Of course I don't.
だよな。けどお前からうまそうな匂いがする。
Something tasty. Maybe I smell like food because I cooked before I came?
なるほどな。ああ、そういや、お前からもらった弁当うまかったぜ。ありがとうよ。
Happy to hear it. I made quite a bit of food. Were you able to eat it all?
ああ、まあそりゃお前の作った飯だし、当然食い切れた。いや、なんつうか、初日に案の定大量の魔獣どもに襲われてよ。
You ate it all in one go. Ah. Wait a minute. Don't tell me you ate it all. Seriously? All in one day?
ちゃんと味わって食ったぞ。
That's fine and all, but his appetite was totally insatiable.
兄貴大変さ
Of course there is! As the footsteps drawing closer echoed, we broke our embrace immediately.
なんだよ、ドロミ。てめえ寝たんじゃねえのか？
それより兄貴すぐに縄張りに戻ってきてください。こことは別の縄張り近くに アルムムが現れたらしいっす。
You're getting more suspicious with each passing minute. Minotaurs! With Dromi's report, we rushed back to the stronghold. Guided by the firewolf, Ignis and I ran beneath the frigid sky. As long as there are Minotaurs around, separated from Ignis would be dangerous. I could be taken hostage like last time. For those reasons, it was best for me to accompany him to wherever the Minotaurs may be hiding. Somewhere in the field of the ice south of the settlement. There they were. We came to a mutual decision among us that instead of engaging with them immediately, we would surveil them behind the ice blocks. It didn't seem as though they were searching necessarily for the firewolf stronghold. The reason being, one by one, the group of Minotaurs would jump into a dark warping hole. In other words, a wormhole. How convenient. Do you think that wormhole is connected to the human world? Oops. Ignis said this under his breath, right before he lightly tapped my shoulder. He leaped from up behind the ice block, revealing himself to the Minotaurs. I hid in the shadows, and his uncle and I did our best to contain our breathing. The Minotaurs, noticing Ignis' appearance, all turned to face him simultaneously. Their eyes were as expected, the same as those we saw at the GPM in downtown. Woo! He flashed a confident smile and ignited his flame, sprinting towards the Minotaurs heading for the wormhole. The wolf howled, digging his fiery fangs into his opponents relentlessly, just as he did before. Or maybe better than that, Ignis easily subdued the Minotaurs, but one of the Minotaurs cleaved into another that Ignis had knocked out. It shredded its fallen comrade as if to distract Ignis. Ignis thankfully was unharmed, but he was overcome with surprise at the sight of this merciless act. The other Minotaurs followed suit and they began breaking out into mass violence. Oh. Without any fear or hesitation against the fists and flames blocking their path. Some attacked Ignis, some attacked their own kin, running into the flames head on. They battled Ignis without fear, knowing he could easily crush their bones. There were no casualties, but I had to avert my eyes from the wave of violence. Thanks to Ignis' efficient subduing of the Minotaurs, I was spared from witnessing further bloodshed, but one remained. Odd Minotaur. There was a lone Minotaur watching the battlefield from afar. We only noticed him as the dust settled. The beast opened his mouth. What the fuck? Thick drops of vicious saliva dripped from his mouth, splashing onto the snowy ground. It's clear he is insane, but one thing was, we finally encountered a Minotaur that may be able to communicate with us. To grasp this one-time opportunity, Ignis lowered his fists. Instead, he threw out a question. Ignis was taken slightly aback. The Minotaur cackled in a distance as the icy air swirled around us. Mm-hmm. Ignis lowered his shoulders, letting the Minotaur's words sink in. Oh. In response to Ignis' confused response. Okay. The Minotaur bent over backwards, breaking into heavy, patronizing laughter.
何がおかしい？
不殺偽善者。てめえが命を語るなどおかしい。
The beast grinned, continuing in his ridicule.
殺してるだろ。ビニトルの縄張りが襲われた時襲ってきた魔獣を同族のビニトルもろとも
It was an unforeseen revelation, one even Ignis wasn't aware of. Uh-oh. Ignis's jaw dropped, completely dumbfounded. The Minotaur continued.
正気を失い暴れたてめえはそれを覚えてねえだけ。わかるだろ、イグニス。本当はわかってんだろ。
In the face of the Minotaur's accusations, the color drained from Ignis's face.
ざっけんな。さっきからこっちが黙ってりゃ適当なホラばっか吹きやがって。俺が殺しただと。それも他のビニトルまで巻き込んで。けったらねえ。んな根拠のねえ妄言を誰が信じるってんだよ。
根拠ならここにあるぜ。確かめてみろよ。お前にとっては懐かしいだろう。
The Minotaur chuckled, throwing in an object toward Ignis. A ruined armlet. It differed in size, but it resembled the one Ignis wore on his arm. The moment he caught it, Ignis' eyes shot open, full of disbelief. But a kid, could he mean his dear friend whom he had lost when he was a boy? Why would the Minotaur have it? But upon closer inspection, Ignis' surprise was for another reason entirely. His gaze was affixed on the dried blood on it. Not soon after, the Minotaur answered. Uh-oh. Ignis grabbed his head, crying at the top of his lungs in sheer agony.
やめろ。敵はあっちの魔獣たちだろ。なんで俺たちまで。
イグニス、もうやめてくれ。一体どうしちゃったんだよ。僕たちのことがわからないのか。今の君は
その面思い出したみてえだな。
Okay, but still, why does he have the armlet? Ignis' body jerked in reaction to the Minotaur's whispered taunt. He held out as if in utter denial to the accusation.
ちげえ。今のは何かの間違いだ。俺は誰も殺してなんかいねえ。現に他のビニトルたちがそう言って。
じゃあもう一度聞いてみろよ。そこにいる当時のことを知るビニトルによ。
He noticed my presence. Beyond that, someone stepped out and without objecting to the Minotaur's words. He looked shaky, uncomfortable, and his hesitation was troubling, perhaps giving credence to the Minotaur's taunt. Ignis spoke to the silent man, his voice quivering with worry.
おい、おじき。何黙ってんだ。こんな時に冗談はやめろ。
I mean, this was kind of obvious though, because when he told us the story was like, some parts of it are kind of fuzzy.
俺はあの時誰も殺さず魔獣を追い返した。ガキだった俺にそう教えたのはあんたらだろうが。
After desperately pleading with him to reject the Minotaur's claims.
すまない、イグニス。だが、 前自身が一番分かっているだろう。蘇った記憶が間違いではないと。
In other words,
だよ、そりゃ。じゃあ他のビニトルが俺を避け続けてる本当の理由。
ああ、当時の魔獣やビニトルのようにお前にいつ殺されるかとひたすらに恐怖しているからだ。
wait, please. I couldn't help but interject in confusion. Then why? Why is Ignis still accepted in Stronghold?
当時は危険すぎるイグニスを殺せという声が多く上がった。それを解き伏せ、真実を隠すことを選んだのは他ならぬ私だ。
The man said so plaintively, but his tone was unkind to Ignis.
落ち着け、皆の者。お前たちの意見はもっともだが冷静に考えるのだ。こたびの襲撃とイグニスの暴走で戦えるビニトルは彼以外すべて死に絶えた。残った彼を殺せばまた次に魔獣に襲われた時我々はどうなる。ビニトルが生き残り血を残していくためには危険を承知の上で彼をあの恐ろしい化け物を利用し飼いならしていくしかないだろう。
Wait, now he lost the place he called home. They used him out of nothing but fear and for penance. The cruel designation delivered from his relative no less was a heavy blow. His hands fell limp, and from them slipped his friend's memento, his dying artifacts sinking into the plush snow. The Minotaur cackled at the grieving Ignis.
もう一つついでに教えてやるよ。そもそもよ、正気を失って暴れる魔獣なんざてめえ以外にはいねえんだよ。
今度は何の話だよ。
Ignis looked like he wanted to cover his ears, but the Minotaur went on without mercy.
魔獣はもともと自分勝手で残酷だからこそそれを当然のこととして狂わねえ。どいつも理性を保ってる。だがてめえは違う。戦い狂って暴れ。理性を保って戦う俺たちよりもよっぽど厄介じゃねえか。
Normally, Ignis wouldn't hesitate to call the Minotaur out for his lies, but right now, Ignis...
おい、おじき。
He was powerless and all he wanted was truth.
魔獣は戦い、闘争本能を刺激することで来る。ずっとあんたが俺に言い聞かせてきた。
ああ、私の嘘だ。少しでもお前が暴走しないよう自分を戒めさせるためのでなければお前を化け物扱いなどはすまい。
Yikes!
ってことは俺が今まで信じていたもんは全部が全部丸ごと嘘っぱちだったってこと。
Ignis finally fell into complete silence, hanging his head downward.
これで分かっただろう。イグニス、ベスティアでただ一人の魔獣でも何でもねえ。だからこそお前は誰もかなわねえほど強えんだ。
Then the Minotaur turned his back to us without another word, as if his mission was accomplished. He left the dumbstruck Ignis behind, sneering in triumph. At the same time, because the active wormhole was unstable, its opening silently closed. As for the man who was revealed to have lied to Ignis for his whole life,
イグニス、本当にすまなかった。
he apologized profusely, then headed back to the stronghold. We stayed behind. The confusion, the shock, it all lingered in that wintry air in the light of Ignis' truth. Ignis. I came out of hiding from behind the ice blocks and called upon him, but his gaze was pointed to the ground and he refused to answer. Then he told me to back away. The flames covering his body ignited as if to reject anyone from coming in.
やっと見つけました。
Something white, other than snow, came descending from the night sky. His wings were spotted with black. We heard his voice trembling in the cold and we saw it belonged to... Io, what are you doing here?
それはどちらかというと、こちらのセリフかと。
Il, who appeared before, shivered profusely just as he did the last time he visited Bestia.
あなたの姿が消えたので、もしやと思い、GPM のホールから捜索しに来たのです。
Oh, that's right. Sorry for worrying you. Are you okay in these conditions? Wait, of course not.
はい。ここまでたどり着くのに大規模な探知術式を連発しましたので。
Every now and then he swiped the snow that fell upon his wings, and Eel, unaware of what had just happened, called out to Ignis.
なのでイグニス、経緯は知りませんが、あなたが交流していて助かりました。今の私にはおそらく万が一戦闘行動に入った時に震える力がありませんから。
そうか。
イグニス、どうしました？何やらいつもより声色が。
Eel, please let him be and don't pray too much for now.
わかりました。ではひとまずこのままゲートへと戻りますか？
Yes, we were planning to spend the night here, but if you do, Eel might pass out. But first I have to find Korodo. He's still inside the Firewolf
で
stronghold.
は私が迎えに行きましょう。縄張りとは先ほど上空から見えた炎の灯る場所に違いありませんか？
Yes, and if you can, could you tell Dromi that we are going home too? He nodded in affirmation and powered through his tiredness towards the Firewolf stronghold. I stepped into the snow, walking toward the silent Ignis. Let's go home, Ignis, I muttered to him quietly.
戻るならお前らだけで戻れ。
No. It was painful, but I understood why he refused to come along. There was so much he needed to process, but I just couldn't. I couldn't leave Ignis, who looked ready to collapse behind by himself, so I reached out to him. I took his trembling arm and put it under mine. I wouldn't let go until he nodded. I found my resolve holding his thought as I grasped him firmly against me. It seemed as though Ignis barely had the strength left for anything, much less to shake me off. Oh man! What the fuck? Oh, there's more! What was it all for? My path, my entire life, any of my convictions. All of my beliefs were shattered and my vision darkened, growing dim under the sharp moonlight. Like an idiot, the emotions began to pile in my heart. I wanted nothing more than to scream. It took everything out of me to contain it. The thin, soft hand which hung desperately to me belonged to Kotone. I had no idea what to tell her. I couldn't look at Kotone directly, so when I shifted my gaze, I spotted coincidentally the blood spatter left from my skirmish with the Minotaurs. In that moment, the smell of blood paints my vision red. Then, I couldn't understand what I had done. In this situation, I instinctively covered my mouth. What was that? Why did I react that way to the blood? My memories are fragmented. I don't know what I was thinking inside the red periphery. Only an odd sensation, one that ignited in my chest. It turned my heart into a burning star. Okay, what's going on? Sometime afterward, Korodo, who Eel went to retrieve, was returned to me. As we made our way back to the gate so that Eel won't pass out, Korodo stuck his body out of my arms and probed curiously around the area. In particular, he was fixed on one location, unwilling to budge. What's the matter, Korodo? Let's go home. What is it? What is it? Okay, never mind, I guess. What the fuck? I think I didn't swear that much today, but what the fuck? Excuse me? Let's look at this one. Let's look at this one to feel better about ourselves. Okay. That happened, I guess. So we both have a very nice and romantic scene. And also a bunch of revelations. Wow. That was a right after such an... It definitely was. But they always do this. They give us one of these nice scenes and then they go like, yeah! Oh my god, okay. Whew. Okay. Well, I guess we'll find out more of the truth next time. I still want to know what the scar on his left side is. And then that weird scene, like in the cave we saw earlier, like who was this? Is that him as a child? Also, what's up with Dromi? Oh my god, that's so much happening. There's so much. I am shocked. I am shocked and in awe and okay. Woo. Okay. Thank you for coming. Oh my god, thank you for coming. We next stream is on Wednesday. We continue with this one. Hopefully find out what the heck is going on. I'll leave you with my ending song. There we go. Woo! Thank you very much. Hope to see you on Wednesday. Have a nice night. And thanks for sticking with me. Bye bye.